Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. I am live early because Goolsbie is live. He is one of the main Fed presidents. Let's head over to him, listen to what he has to say, and then we will get into the Market Open, and we will keep going from there. Good morning, everybody. You thought I'd be late. I'm here. I'm live. We're live. Let's hear what Goolsbie has to say.
Those are the data, unless, of course, you want to. But everything looks like it's doing a little better. You know, the desert island indicator, jobless claims, it just really fails to go up. And maybe it's green going to yellow, but it's just barely so. What's your take on this data?
I mean, I thought two things. One, I gotta get Rick over to the bank and take him to lunch. We're both here. It's been a while since I've seen him.
You still owe me lunch.
Look,
Joe,
the thing about
later,
the job market, the thing about the job market, Steve, is look, when we were really going to go back into this, the money you owe me and the meals you owe me, but now you can't pay me because the ethics rules forbid it. But one of these days, Joe, I'm getting over there.
I would like to go with you now with the new Austin. I would. I love you now. I mean, what happened?
Make the argument that most of the time when the unemployment rate rises, let's say 1 full percentage point over a year, that's usually an indicator of something of the business cycle, and it's going to get worse. But what we've seen in the last year is stable full employment, and nothing has changed with the UI claims or with the broader measures of the job market, in my mind, that have bumped me off that view.
What about inflation when it comes to the concern that some have that tariffs will raise inflation, but it didn't show up in the May numbers? Do you think it's coming?
I don't. That's the big question mark. I mean, I think the most important thing to figure out is the through line of where are we going. And I said before April 2nd, on dual mandate grounds, we were doing pretty well. Stable full employment, and I felt inflation coming down in the mid-2s and coming down toward the 2% target. And in a circumstance where that's prevailing, I believe that the rates will go down a fair bit more from where they are today. And you can see that in the dot plot. If you look at what the members of the committee, where they think the settling point is, there's pretty wide agreement. It's well below where we are today. The tariffs and other uncertainties in the economy threw a bunch of dust in the air. So I do think it's important that we get clarity, A, that there's not going to be an increase in inflation, or B, if there is going to be an increase in inflation, that it's not going to be a lasting increase in inflation, that it is in fact going to be transitory. Now, like you say, Steve, we've had 3 but 9 months of inflation readings. And for a month and a half of that, we had the beginnings of tariffs. So if tariffs stay in their lane, which is to say imported goods are only 11% of GDP. So if people don't freak out and change their behavior, and if we don't get a lot of retaliation from other countries, and if we don't jack up the rates on raising the cost of domestic production, then my hope would be that we don't see the inflation, but we got to get a few months of clarity before I'm ready to say that they didn't have an impact.
When you say a few months of clarity, that sounds like it would be difficult for the data to meet that criteria as soon as next month.
I don't know. You know, I don't like tying our hands or restricting our actions before we've gotten all the information we can. And you've been to the room where the FOMC meeting takes place. It's literally the biggest table I've ever seen in my life. So everything is always on that table. It fits on that table. But we still have tariffs coming. July 9th, we're going to get another announcement. We've got the China deadline. So just on the tariff part, we still have uncertainties. And we've got to see how many of these others play out, whether.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting a July cut. I mean, although Goolsbie kind of wants to, you can tell he's echoing the statements of the Fed, which is that we need to be more data dependent. And he's mentioning that we need to wait to see the tariff impacts. Looks like July is most likely not going to happen, but maybe there's a real shot for August or for September, because at that point it'll be about 3 months of data, but July seems unlikely.
It's oil prices and geopolitics or what's happening with productivity. So I'm optimistic that we've been getting good readings, and maybe the impact of tariffs will be held just in their lane. But we want to be sure. And at moments where there's lots of uncertainty, as I say, you just got to get some of the dirt out of the air.
Hey, Austin, politics always kind of looms around what's happening with the Fed. It's so important to the economy. It's so important to consumers. But this president has been particularly outspoken with this Fed chairman. Yesterday, he called the chairman stupid. It's been this ongoing barrage because he wants to see rates brought down.
Also, the Wall Street Journal reported late last night that Trump is getting ready to name the next Fed by September, meaning there will be a shadow Fed already named. And if he does that, he's going to basically undermine the legitimacy of Powell, because he's going to be leaving in May of 2026. So if he does give us the name of the next Fed pretty soon, again, markets are just not going to care that much about what Powell has to say.
You're able to probably speak a little more freely because you're not the direct target of a lot of these attacks on what comes on this. But how do you think that changes things? How much pressure does it put on anybody to feel like they're not bowing to the political pressure that's coming?
Yeah, hopefully it has no effect. As you know, economists are basically unanimous on the importance that central banks be free from political interference when setting monetary policy. And the reason why economists are unanimous about that is if you just look at places where they do not have that, inflation is worse, growth is worse, unemployment is higher. I think it's a mistake if we're going to start messing with the political interference part. You can look at the minutes, and then eventually you'll be able to see word for word transcript what is on the minds of the Open Market Committee when we make the decision. It's not politics. It's not what people are saying outside. It's the economic conditions and the outlook that drive the decisions.
Hey, Austin, Mr. President, how surprised or I don't know, the recent inflation numbers, can you explain them to me? Is it oil that's been an offset or something? Or listening to Waller, plus, yeah, it's hard to explain. Listening to Waller, I think he's always thought that it's a one-shot deal if it's not a trade war, and it's not the same as sort of a systemic inflationary pressure or something. I think he would have done it. He would have cut either way. But you think we're still getting some next month or the month after? It will get a bad effect from the tariffs, or is it possible it's just been something that we've just been fearful of, and you turn the lights on in the abyss and there's nothing there?
Well, that was 4 different questions, but I'm going to try to address them all.
Is it possible that there's nothing coming from tariffs or that it's offset?
It is possible. Like I say, tariffs are all imported goods is only 11% of GDP. So if it stays in its lane, it can have a modest impact. I'm a friend and fan of Governor Waller's. We get along very well. And I do think, in a theoretical, he's right that a one-time tariff ought to be, in theory, a transitory inflation shock. But like I said, I gave a speech at the big auto symposium in January, which went through the thing that everyone knows. That was literally the same logic at the time of COVID that said, this is going to be transitory, right. Hit to the supply shock, inflation's going to go away. And inflation lasted a lot longer than people thought at the time. If there isn't inflation that comes from the tariffs, though, and if we want to explain the data, if you look at the data, the non-tariff affected or less tariff affected parts like services, like housing, they've been particularly encouraging, and you've seen inflation coming down. If we can keep inflation in the range of 2%, so it's clear we're on this path back to target, then I think the the uncertainties resolved, we were on a path to getting rates down, and I think we would go back to that path. At the time I said it, I said 12 to 18 months. Well, that was 3.5 months ago. But so what is that, 8.5 to 15.5 months or so? But 14.5 months. I still think over a longer time frame, it's likely rates come down if we can get some resolution.
I mean, we still argue about what part of the pandemic caused the inflation, whether it was the supply chain shock, which was.
All right, I think that's pretty much what we needed from Goolsbie to hear. As you can see right there, he's likely not going to be an advocate, or even if he, is an advocate, he's likely not going to be able to get the Fed to think that a July cut is possible. Probabilities are at 25%, which is higher than 12% last week for July. But based on what he said right there, the core message is that although there is a worry that J-Powell's been talking about in the context of COVID had supply shocks, and we thought inflation would be transitory. Inflation ended up not being transitory, and J-Powell kind of got that word associated with him for a long time, the T word. They don't want that to happen again. Now, I think everyone's saying, guys, look, yes, it happened once, but it's not going to happen again. We have a lot of data to suggest, as Goolsbie even mentioned towards the end of that segment, that, hey, there's a lot of things that are showing very encouraging signs to show that it's not transitory. But if the Fed does not come to the conclusion that the potential of it being transitory is likely versus it being very sticky, we're just not going to get a rate cut. And there's plenty of data, CPI, PPI, core PCE, super core PCE going negative for the first time since 2020. We're going to get a lot more data over the coming weeks. But given the data that we have right now, it seems like we should be at least considering the cut. And, hopefully the Fed thinks about that as well. That's what we got from Goolsbie. Good morning. Good morning. Thank everybody for being here. I was early today, and none of you, not a single freaking person expected it, which is just, I don't know if it's your expectations of me or this horrendous, or if I'm just if I've conditioned you guys to believe that I'm always going to start 2 minutes after time. But no, I was early today. I'm just going to start going early now and surprise everybody. I'm legit just going to start going early at 8:40 and shit. If you were I clicked on this, I thought it was an old YouTube video. I need to go early and just scare everybody. I'm going to make sure you guys are late at this point. I'm going to make sure you guys are late. If you show up at 8:45, you're going to be late. Now I'm really going to start doing this, bro. I say I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to be late every single day. But I'm really going to start doing this because this was hilarious, dude. You start early, everyone's they're not even focusing on what Goolsbie says. Everyone's just so focused on the fact that I'm early. Nonetheless, it is time to open up a market. And what's very exciting about this market is, folks, Nvidia is at all-time highs. I mean, and we got a big Palantir deal we're going to talk about. You see in the title, Palantir, $100 million contract. We'll talk about that in a second. Robinhood, 83.50. Palantir did hit 145 in the pre-markets. Nvidia hit 156.9, trying to go for 157. It blasted through 153.13 yesterday, which was the all-time high. And it's up another 2%. And it looks like it is blue skies for Nvidia. It's almost like the market just recognized, yeah, it's Nvidia. It is the company. It is why is this stock not have a multiple that is similar to Costco or Netflix, which are not growing, don't have the margins that Nvidia does, are never going to be as important to the AI revolution as Nvidia is. Maybe we should up our bets on Nvidia. Loop Capital also upgraded them to 250 yesterday, so that has been helping their exposure as well. At 162, this company becomes a $4 trillion company. At 162, this company becomes a $4 trillion company. And it does feel like there's a shot that happens rather easily. I mean, it could stall out a bit, but momentum is coming in, and we're seeing Nvidia decently get a bid right now. So we'll talk about Nvidia. We'll talk about Hoodie. Hoodie now, that $500 million crypto bet, $25 million out of $500 million has already been deposited into Robinhood's crypto 1% match. So that's really helping them. SoFi getting a lot of love, up about 1%. Crypto's coming back to SoFi. That's getting some momentum. Grab right here, up about 1% of the pre-markets. Reddit up 1.5. Amazon's up 1%. Meta is up 0.5%. We got some big news on Meta in regards to them poaching some of the researchers from OpenAI that we talked about last week. They stole 3 people, and we're going to talk about the people that got Apple right here at 201, and then you got Palantir 144. AMD as well, getting a bit of a bid after hours or in the pre-market. AMD did hit 148 at one point, while NVIDIA hit 157. So both of these deciding to just take off. NVIDIA was 100, AMD was 95 about a month and a half ago. So the semis in general, we'll talk about Micron earnings. Micron, unfortunately, not really getting a bid in the pre-market. I mean, yeah, it's basically flat from where we were in earnings yesterday. It was up 7% at one point. I don't know if they said anything in guidance that was bad, but the actual earnings themselves and the increase of guidance that we saw in the press release was pretty damn good. So this could just be algos. This could just be, hey, the stock's up a lot. People are selling it off. But Micron did have a good earnings and reinforced the belief that the semiconductor ecosystem is only thriving. And that semis trade is probably going to get some more momentum as well. All right, let's get into it. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Jose, what's up? Kevin, what's up? Quarantine Quartet. Charles Z, good morning. Thank you all for being here. Christina, I will buy a celebratory share when it hits 4 trillion. So nuts. Dude, when it hits 4 trillion, it's going to be crazy. $4 trillion is insanity. And I think it'll be really cool to just see that happen in our lifetimes as well, which is going to happen. And hopefully it happens over the coming weeks. Rodrigo, what's up? Martin, Ben, Chase Adventures, thanks for being here. Matthew, the confidence I have of a mid starting early is the same confidence I have of a rate cut in July, 25% chance. You know, I'm really I'm going to start 5 minutes early every day and just like everyone, you guys are going to have to adjust your clocks. You guys are going to have to come earlier and just like realize that you can't be late at this point because this is disrespectful, bro. This is absolutely, no one has any faith that I can freaking start early. We're going to do it. Probably not going to do it, but we're going to try. Dude, you guys don't understand. In the last 2 minutes before going live, everything goes wrong. Like camera, lights, this, that, like everything in the last 2 minutes, every time. But at least today was okay. So we got to go early. Greg, what's up? Sub, Doug, how you doing? Rick, good morning. Thanks for being here. Shem Pasta, Jason, Timothy, Derek, No, General Weenus, which is the greatest name ever. Crazy that every $10 move on Nvidia is basically AMD's entire market cap. Dude, every $10 move on Nvidia is 250 billion. They have 25 billion shares outstanding. So it's pretty incredible, dude. And it looks like the momentum is not slowing down. Let's get started with the first story of the day. We also have some macro data. Jobs, TLDR was a great beat. Again, this labor market does not seem like it's slowing down, which is really good for the economy. Let's talk about Palantir. So Palantir, 144.50. Palantir has a $100 million deal that they just got today, 5 years, with the Nuclear Company. That is the name of the company, the Nuclear Company. Now, this one is pretty cool. We haven't had a deal to analyze and kind of break down. Really, over the past couple of weeks, we've gotten some deals here or there, but this one we got a lot of details on. And this deal is worth 100 milli over 5 years. Now, what is this deal? One of the things I think a lot of us have been thinking about or have thought about over the past 5 years is Palantir building an operating system, right? At least my initial thesis for investing in the company was I thought their software, their OS, would be applicable in any single industry around the entire world. They only have 800 customers. So the idea that they can scale their operating system approach for an entire industry and then within all the companies in that industry, that was kind of the basic thesis. We've also been seeing nuclear energy continue to gain momentum across the world as AI has fueled the demand for alternative sources of energy. Oklo, SMR, NNE, all these companies getting a bid. Trump had an executive order a couple of weeks ago that really helped Oklo get over that $50, $60 hurdle. And that's mainly because the market's recognizing, hey, we're going to need more sources of energy. Today, Palantir introduces their nuclear operating system. Together, the companies will co-develop and deploy NOS, the first AI-driven real-time software system built exclusively for nuclear construction. NOS will transform the construction of nuclear reactors into a data-driven, predictable process, enabling the nuclear company to build plants faster and safer for less. Now, the reason I think it's a big deal is because nuclear is not just a source of energy every country is looking to capitalize on. Obviously, the Saudis, everyone in the Middle East, like they're recognizing oil is not going to last forever, so they need alternative sources of energy. But it's one of the most sophisticated levels of energy because of regulations and safety. You obviously don't want to have massive levels of radiation that get leaked. And in order to plan all that, you would likely need some type of software. Mike Gallagher, head of defense at Palantir, says this partnership marks the first time Palantir software will be used to help power the next generation of nuclear energy infrastructure. So I like it. Look, I think it's a great deal. It is nice to see something like this. This is one of those typical OG Palantir deals. They don't do that many press releases anymore because, quite frankly, they just don't need to, right? They're kind of head down executing. And back in 2022, 2023, they kind of needed to prove to the market, hey, like, look at us. We're doing cool stuff now. They just don't need to do that. But when they do announce a deal, you know it's a deal that is one of those deals that everyone needs to pay attention to. And they had a lot of these deals in 2023 that were being publicized of all these different operating systems they were building, whether it's for shipyards, whether it's oil, airplanes. I mean, just a variety of different industries that they capitalized on. For the OGs, you guys remember Beckett Collectibles, I think was the name of it. I mean, they were building an operating system for like for collectible knickknacks. Yeah, they were using Foundry to, I mean, dude, this was August 2022. This was when the stock just got hit after a 13% growth quarter. It was a nasty quarter. And on Palantir Weekly, we were like, well, collectibles, trading cards, Foundry for trading cards. There you go. That's like, that's got to be valuable, right? That's got to be worth something in the future. Look at this quote. We were excited by Beckett's digital transformation objectives to help the company unlock the value of long-held assets. All of us on Palantir Weekly were like, all right, so stock's at $8, but still, you know, we're making sure playing cards are more integrated in the world. So we went from that to $100 million deals with the nuclear company. I mean, it's just incredible. And so obviously a big evolution of the company, but nonetheless, they are maintaining their momentum. Some people say $100 million doesn't matter because the market cap is like, yes, obviously, this is a part of the nuance that I think people have to understand. Yes, the market cap is aggressive. $100 million is not making a dent in a $300 billion market cap. But the point is, and this is, you know, what was important to recognize in 2022, the quality of these deals and what it creates as a framework for more growth. I mean, if they're able to do this with a nuclear company, nuclear energy, one could argue, is going to be $1 trillion industry in and of itself over the next decade. And if Palantir is the operating system, the de facto operating system for nuclear plants to be built and maintained and then scaled, you could obviously see the growth of that into the future. And I think that's what the market is pricing in as well. So, I mean, it could be a $50 million deal. The deal value to me is irrelevant. What matters is what deal are they getting and how valuable could it be in the future. And I think that's what's really important. Yeah, it's a 5-year deal. For those that are asking, 5-year deal for this $100 million. Triple V, thank you for being here again. Another $100 from Mr. Triple V. The speculation of the comments of who he is every day is I think he puts the 100 in just to get a kick out of you guys guessing who he is, because no one's guessed it, because he's not freaking Vlad Tenev and he's not Alex Karp. Although who knows, bro? Who knows? Maybe he is one of those individuals. Speaking of Vlad Tenev, Robinhood had their annual shareholder meeting yesterday, and given Triple V is a significant. By the way, I don't know if you guys know how much. I mean, he owns a lot of Palantir as well. He owns a lot of Palantir. Triple V is not just a Robinhood, but he's owned Palantir before Robinhood. I think his average is like $19, and he was buying pretty heavily in 2022, 2023, and he's held on. So very, very significant shareholder of both those companies. In terms of what Robinhood announced yesterday, big stuff. 1.5 billion prediction contracts have traded since launch. Retirement now is 18 billion in assets. Robinhood Strategies, their advisory product, has 100,000 users and 350 million AUM. Has 35% of $1 billion in AUM after 3 months of launching. Again, this is just like, this is a level of growth that I think can't be undermined. And they're going to have 300,000 gold credit card users by the end of the year. Now, one tweet that kind of went viral yesterday about Robinhood is something that even I've talked about as well. But this right here got 120,000 views. Obviously, a lot of people are reacting to it. Robinhood market cap 73 billion, total platform assets 255 billion. Schwab market cap 163, total platform assets 10.3 trillion. So basically the assumption right there in that post is, hey, like, this is stupid. Robinhood's ridiculously overvalued. I understand the nuance of like people seeing that and thinking immediately, oh, like this is a bubble. This makes no sense. How can the market be giving Robinhood this type of multiple? But I think if you go into just the basic growth dynamics of both companies, Schwab is flat. They're not growing. They're not exciting. They're not innovating. No one really cares about them. They just have a legacy 100-year business that, of course, has trillions of dollars in assets because they're freaking Schwab. But that doesn't mean the market is going to give that a multiple. I mean, what comes to a multiple, and it, like how a stock gets a multiple, at least the way I understand it, is there's a level of excitement on the name's ability to grow, and then the growth actually executes against that excitement, and then the market rewards it with a multiple. The classic example, outside of even Palantir, which we've seen happen over the past couple of years, is Amazon. I mean, this is the one that everyone points to. Amazon was grossly, quote unquote, overvalued for about 10 years until AWS really started kicking up. Their operating margins went positive. Now Amazon's operating margins are 12%, which is incredible. It used to be like negative 15. And the market is able to say, hey, we were able to price in that future growth in 2014, 2015, 2016, when everyone said it was overvalued. And now it has a pretty normal PE at 30 times earnings, 33 times earnings. And, you know, Amazon is one of those blue chip stocks that everyone could imagine having in their portfolio. So I think for Robinhood, yeah, their assets under custody compared to Schwab are significantly less and their market cap is relatively similar. But if their growth matches up to the point where the growth rate of those assets, even if it's not 10 trillion anytime soon, is pretty aggressive, the market's going to want to buy the thing that's growing. I mean, ultimately, you buy something that grows, right? Like, why are we buying stocks? We want the prices to go up. We want them to grow. And in order for stock prices to go up, like the most objective way you could determine that is that earnings will get a higher multiple if the company can grow their earnings faster. And the faster they grow their earnings, the higher the multiple they get. If not, and you're buying a legacy company like a Schwab, you're really buying it, if there's no growth, for the dividend. And if you don't want 3 or 4% a year, you want actual growth, you're going to have to pay a premium, but that premium will be respected by the broader market because the market actually cares about growth. At least that is the economy that we're in. Maybe 10 years from now, the market doesn't care about growth. And honestly, 10 years ago, the market probably didn't care that much about growth. But now we're in an era where these companies are growing so quick, which is why it's the greatest time to be an investor, that you can actually take a bet on a stock that maybe does not have exactly the financials to justify that growth, but you know they're eventually going to have those financials. And if they execute against that growth, then that stock can be, not the worst buy in the world. So that's what we got on Robinhood, 83.30 right here in the pre-markets. Nvidia right here, 156, and then Palantir, 144.23 off of that $100 million deal. These guesses on Triple V is hilarious. I can say he's not Indian. I can say that. I can say Triple V is definitely not Indian. He's a Saudi prince. He's Vladimir Putin. Oh my God. That's hilarious. He's not Eric Trump, although it is hilarious. Speaking of Eric Trump, that Trump phone that they introduced last week, they took off something on their website that guaranteed that it was made in America. And yeah, they removed it from the website, so they can no longer promise that it's made in America. Which kind of makes sense, because does this thing look like it would be like, it looks like it's made in China? So yeah, the Trump phone is going back to their roots. Most of the MAGA hats are made in China anyway as well. So there you go. That's what you got with the Trump phone. Okay, let's get into some of the other news that we've got going on. Let's look at jobs data. So jobs data was really good, along with GDP. Jobs data came in at 236,000 versus 240,000 on the initial, or 245,000 on the initial jobless claims, which is really good. We've had 4 weeks in a row of a miss on jobless claims. So jobless claims usually are 246 every week, and we ended up coming at like 250 or 247. This week we came in at 236, and this goes back to Jay Powell's argument about, hey, why would I cut, or how could I justify giving you guys a cut if the labor market is as strong as it is? And look, there's a lot of retorts to that argument, but ultimately his point is the labor market's not breaking, which is good. Like, none of us want to see people lose tons of jobs because that's bad for the economy. But that's what J-Pow would need immediately to get us to cut. If we don't need that much of a stimulus because people are not losing their jobs as aggressively, then, J-Pow gets to hang his hat on just waiting to see more data. So that's what we had in the context of jobless claims. And then we also had GDP for the United States Q1 came in at negative 0.5%. The market thought it would be negative 0.2%. You're not really seeing that big of an impact on the stock market right now because the market's pricing in about 3% growth in Q2. Remember, the reason Q1 actually came in negative, which is a contraction in the economy, 2 quarters of negative GDP would be a recession. We're not going to get that negative quarter in Q2, is because we pulled forward so much demand in Q4 because everyone anticipated the tariffs in Q1. And so Best Buy, Walmart, they ordered a lot more stuff in Q4. They didn't need to order that much in Q1, which is why we had that negative GDP growth. Now, I don't think any of these companies expected the Liberation Day tariffs, which is what really shocked the system. But nonetheless, they did anticipate tariffs to some extent. And that is why GDP came in negative as well. So that's what we got for macro data. Pretty much just jobs, initial jobs claims, and the GDP growth. Yesterday, we did have the housing data, nasty number, negative 14% month over month. We are obviously in need for rate cuts to get home builders to have the ability to actually build homes, sellers to be incentivized to sell them, buyers to be incentivized to buy them. And the housing market, I think, is one of those things that until we get rate cuts, that is going to be basically in limbo. No one's really going to know how that plays out. I don't think we get any other macro data today. Oh, we do get pending home sales year over year at 10 a.m. All right, so we will get some more home sales at 10 a.m. and we will see that macro data later in the day as well. At 10:30, I'm going to have Eliano join the show. Yes, Palantir merch is launching today. It's a big deal. We've been waiting for merch for another year. Eliano will be joining. He'll also be doing a giveaway of some merch. So he'll be joining at 10:30. Eliano, for those that don't know, is the essentially the person who brought back the Palantir merch store. He's wearing some Palantir merch here right now. And they're launching merch 2.0. So at 10:30, that'll be exciting to get him in the launch up and running. Tesla is down. Yeah. So the main headline on Tesla, I mean, dude, Tesla's been a little weird over the past couple of days because the market's been mooning. I mean, Nvidia 156, well above its all-time high. Robinhood doing well, Palantir. Tesla did get that love, but it's basically back to where it was after Robotaxi. And it's almost like people just said, all right, Robotaxi was a sell the news. Now, one thing that is important to understand about this is that you got some of the Wall Street analysts coming out and saying, no, Waymo is the real deal. So BMO hosted an autonomous vehicle expert who worked at Google and now collaborates with policymakers in the industry. And here's what he said. Waymo is miles ahead of the AV competition. The future economic models of AV remains unclear. Uber is just buying time with AV partnerships, aka Uber is not really building anything sustainable. The average Waymo completes 20 to 25 daily rides, expected to scale to 30 plus, potentially 50 a day. AVs need the capabilities of expensive LiDAR. Synthetic data is critical for AV training, and AVs need to be purpose-built to scale. I think this analyst note, along with the Waymo Google partnership for Atlanta, together highlighted how still far behind Tesla is on scaling Robotaxi, not how far behind they are on the product, which one could argue that gets into the whole LiDAR debate, but just the pure scale of it. Now, again, the Tesla bulls will say, well, even if Tesla's not, getting millions of rides right now, they can turn on a switch, millions of cars can join the Robotaxi network, and then boom, they can automatically scale. Which is a legitimate argument in my opinion, but as of now, the market's not really seeing it. Or at least the market's thinking we'll see it when we see it. You also have deliveries coming up in the next week, which are not going to be good for Tesla. We know Q2 is not going to be the best. So this one, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I think the range for Q2 to me is 270 to 350. And I know that's a long range, but I could see this gap down to 270. I don't think it has to. I could also see it easily gap up to 350 off any hype that Elon creates in the earnings. So if it stays flat, that wouldn't surprise me. I probably would lean a little bit more towards flat to up, just because I think even if the numbers suck, people are going to look past that, especially if the broader market's doing well. But we're going to have to see how this plays out going into the month of July once they start the earnings. Tesla right here at 323, currently in the pre-markets. We will get Nike after the bell. We had Micron, the TLDR on Micron. They are growing like crazy. They have more demand than they can supply. They increased their operating guidance for Q2. And essentially, the market is seeing them as one of the pivotal players when it comes to memory storage inside of the AI revolution. Why is the stock down? I don't know. It's not down, but it's basically flat. I didn't listen to the earnings call. I don't know if they said anything that could create that downside. But the stock's also up 40% year to date. So it's one of those things where, like, if it's going to get another bid, it's going to just have to be one of those things where the market has the appetite to buy more of it. The earnings, which delineate, like, if AI is still prime to get momentum, is what really mattered. And they've had an incredible earnings. So it seems really bullish for semis, Broadcom, Nvidia, TSM, and obviously AMD as well. AMD in the pre-markets right here, 146. AMD continuing to get some momentum. Nvidia and AMD, dude, they've been two peas in a pod. I mean, really were disrespected for the better part of the year. AMD, I think, was kind of stuck in the doghouse a little bit longer than Nvidia, but eventually it broke out. And now they're breaking out in a pretty aggressive way. We have the supreme leader of Iran. Here's what he said today. My congratulations on our dear Iran's victory over the U.S. regime. The U.S. regime entered the war directly because it felt that if it didn't, the Zionist regime would be completely destroyed. It entered the war in an effort to save that regime, but achieved nothing. So he's been yapping all morning. The U.S. president stated Iran must surrender. Needless to say, this statement is too big to come out of the U.S. president's mouth. The Islamic Republic delivered a heavy slap to the U.S.'s face. It attacked and inflicted damage on Al-Udeid Air Base, which is one of the key U.S. bases in the region. What you are literally watching right now or reading right now is pure propaganda. And it's just hilarious because yesterday, which, again, a lot of you guys saw that quote live, which was pretty hilarious. Trump said, Iran called them. Iran was really nice. They gave us a warning. They said, sir, we are going to shoot the missiles. It's 1 p.m. Okay. I said, that's fine. And then we emptied everyone off the base. Very nice people. Trump's not lying. That is literally what happened. Iran called them and said, hey, like, can we shoot it? Can we finally, can we get a little attack on you guys? And Trump was like, sure, let me just get rid of everybody so that no one gets hurt. And then you guys can go tell your people that you attacked us and then we're good to go. And now the supreme leader is saying, congratulations to Iran and the Iranian citizens on the dear victory over the U.S. regime. We delivered a heavy attack on them and we hurt them in a pretty aggressive way. I am very curious how many out of the 92 million Iranian civilians actually believe this shit. I would imagine a significant percentage of them because, you know, the state media kind of dominates there. So there's obviously a lot of them that are recognizing that this regime is bullshit and like that these guys have no idea what they're doing. But I'm assuming there's some of them that are just like, wow, we really attacked them back. Little Iran got the best of the United States on that Qatari airbase. And that is that is enough to put an end to this 12-day war. And then this is the nature of geopolitics, right? Like, this is really what has to get done. We have to effectively achieve our goals by strategically attacking and getting rid of their nuclear facilities. But we also have to give them the ability to show their people that they're strong. They just have to make sure they don't actually mess with us, because if we do, we're gonna hurt them badly. And that's what Trump let them do. And now the supreme leader can tell his citizens that they attacked us back. So from a geopolitical perspective, it does feel like this has come to an end, hopefully, and the ceasefire is real. And if it is a pretty big victory at the end of the day for Trump. By the way, I missed this yesterday. I didn't see this, but just listen to what happened yesterday at NATO.
Go ahead, back white, yeah. White jacket, yeah. Go ahead, give my mic. Hello.
Deborah Haynes from Sky News.
Good.
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who
Mark.
is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children?
I don't know how I missed that yesterday, but yeah, that happened. And then I'm not going to play this because the audio is going to get copyrighted by YouTube, but the White House put out a video. And for anyone who hasn't seen this, you have to see this. Like, I'm going to play it without the audio. But Usher's song Daddy's Home, which some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not. It's a great song from 2010. They used that as the background. And while they described President Trump's trip to NATO, and the caption was Daddy's Home, hey, 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 Daddy, President Donald Trump attended the NATO summit in The Hague, Netherlands. And I can't play it because YouTube's going to copyright it. But like, when you're listening to this with Usher, who's talking about a woman in his song in reference to the idea of being daddy, and they're playing that in the background. I mean, dude, this is the best administration when it comes to content. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can call it cringe. You can call it whatever. This is the content president in chief is what we have right now. And quite frankly, is it kind of cringe? Yeah, but it gets people's attention. And like, it is a 21st century way to communicate with the public. This is why I think President Trump won the election, is because at the end of the day, he just knew how to get people's attention, communicate, go through independent forms of media, etc. But it was crazy, dude. I saw that last night and I was like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? But there it was. So yeah, I'll put that in they're about to do a cease and desist. I wonder if the record label is gonna, this got 4 million views. I wonder if the record label tells them to stop using that, or if they're like, well, Trump's using our music, maybe not the worst. I put that in the chat. You guys can click it if you want to watch it yourself. Shout out to Mr. Nate in the chat. This guy disappeared for like 2 days, disappeared when we needed him the most, and now he's back telling us Hims is going to be fine. I hope so, buddy, because I kind of borrowed a lot of your conviction on this damn thing, and now I'm down 20%, 41.95 on Hims. There's no update on Hims other than it's going to be a long process, dude. You got lawsuits coming down the pipe. I mean, again, if you're a Hims believer and shareholder at this point, you have to believe that the thesis will ultimately play out. And if it does, it does. Look, I don't care that much about Hims, bro. I bought it because I thought it was cheap. It took me a long time to buy it. I finally bought it because I was like, well, you know what? It's cheap. My biggest issue was like, I don't know if they have a moat. Obviously, this lack of Novo partnership kind of highlights that bear case is legitimate to an extent. However, I do think they have a moat, and I didn't buy them because of Novo. I didn't buy them because of GLP. I bought them because they're growing fast, and there's a real shot that in the next 10 years, there's going to be a very strong personalized healthcare system for millions and millions of people. They already have millions of subscribers, and that would be more valuable than $10 billion. That's why I bought them. I didn't know this whole Novo GLP nonsense was going to be something I had to deal with, but now I have to deal with it. And so I'm not selling it. For everyone asking, are you still holding? Yes, I'm still holding. I'm not selling it because I didn't buy it because of Novo, so I'm not going to sell it because of Novo. But it's one of those things where it is what it is. And now if you're bullish on it, you kind of just have to believe the future plays out and that they can survive even if Novo is trying to undercut them at this point. So that's what we got in the context of HIMS. We got about 8 minutes until the market opens. I mean, we can talk NVIDIA for a little bit. I really don't know what exactly happened yesterday that caused the surge. Again, yesterday it ended at 153.50. Right now it's at 156. So it's up another $1.82, or it ended at 154.31 yesterday. We've talked about a lot of different things that have helped the semis over the past couple of days. But I think the main thing is the market just waking up and saying, wait a second, S&P is less than 1% to all-time high. 609, 612, we're at all-time high, folks. So we are very close. The Qs did hit all-time highs yesterday. It's one of those things where the market's coming to that conclusion where, hey, we're getting into the month of July. July has been a very good month for the past 15 years in the stock market. August tends to suck. September tends to really suck, but July tends to be good. And so maybe we get a short-term top in July, but that does mean that as we enter into July, we are potentially going to see a lot of momentum. And some of that momentum might lead to capital being allocated to the biggest compounders. By the way, here's another reason NVIDIA is getting some momentum. This is a chart of the S&P 500. 10 of the largest companies are responsible for 30% of the earnings in the S&P 500. Now, is this kind of scary to see because it feels very concentrated? Yes. But also, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is like when you have 500 companies, you're going to have a lot of duds. You're going to have a lot of companies that are just not growing. They're giving a dividend. They're not really responsible for the type of earnings growth that Coca-Cola was responsible for a lot 20 years ago. Now it's not when it comes to earnings growth. So yeah, you're going to have 10 companies that are the outliers. The problem this entire year has been, why aren't those 10 companies getting capital? Why is Oklo running, but NVIDIA's not? Why is Circle running, but Google's not? Google, by the way, is part of those 10 companies that are actually justifying the multiple on earnings that the S&P 500 gets. But Google stock is down 15% year to date. Which again, as bearish as you want to be about Google and search and all that stuff, Google's up about 1%. It makes you think. It just makes no sense. And there's asymmetry in regards to how the market is ultimately thinking of the ability to allocate capital to the companies that are actually putting up earnings. So from that perspective, I think that's another reason why NVIDIA is getting this love. Because the market kind of knows, hey, like NVIDIA is responsible for a lot of this earnings growth. I have 700 shares of HIMS. 700 shares of HIMS. My average is like 54. So nice little $9,000 paper loss that we're looking at right here. Trump tweeted. Did he tweet? Let's see. The NATO summit yesterday was great. The most unified and productive in history. A wonderful day with incredible and caring leaders. The agreed to 5% gives NATO real powers. Surprised he didn't reference him being NATO's daddy. You know, you would think you would say that. By the way, the reason the White House is running with this as well is because the NATO general secretary, like, you know, we talk about Lutnick glazing Trump. This guy was glazing Trump. He was like, dear Trump, we wouldn't be spending any money on defense if it wasn't for your leadership. You inspired all of us to increase our defense spending, yada, yada. Now they're up to 5% of GDP, which is what Trump just tweeted about. And that is why, you know, that is why defense stocks are getting a little bit of a bid, but that's also why the White House is running with this whole Trump is daddy thing, which is wild. But nonetheless, that's what that's the theme that they're going on right now. I did not sell my HIMS. I did not. I will tell you guys if I sell my. I'm not selling it, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lose 10,000 to sell HIMS right here just because of the Novo partnership. Like, I didn't freaking buy it because of Novo. I thought there was an actual long-term trajectory for this, so I still hold it. I'm thinking of writing covered calls on it though, and maybe some long-dated calls. Like, short-term dated calls, the premiums are not going to be that amazing given my average is higher than where the price is. So I don't know, maybe like Jan 2026, $60, $58. If it gets there, I'll manage the position, but I don't think it's getting back to 60 that easily. Like, I think this is going to be a little bit of a journey now for them to deal with the lawsuit. So I might just write some covered calls against it and get some premium and move on from that. But yeah, I'm not selling it because I do think it could rebound, not easily, but I do think it's not like stuck at 40 forever. Like, this is still only a $10 billion company that has a high short float. Any level of announcements or product innovation or anything they do that's outside of what the street cares about, like GLP, could easily get the shorts to cover and this thing runs. Now, I don't think that's going to happen soon, but the point is that can happen. And even if it doesn't happen in the next 2 months, it could happen towards the end of the year, especially if we get into a little bit of a Santa Claus rally. And I don't think HIMS has to be stuck at 41. But it's a small position, dude. It's not something that I'm stressed about. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, I need to sell this and put this money into Hood or NVIDIA. It's like, no, like, I have enough of those. I don't need to reallocate while those stocks are trading at basically all-time highs. If anything, I should be DCing into HIMS. I just really have not done enough research on like this Novo thing. And I need to spend more time to figure out what is the appropriate level of conviction one should have based on this. but I'm also just not selling because Novo did whatever Novo did. All right, we got 3 minutes until the market opens. Let's see some of the pre-market action. Oscar up about 2.81%. Lemonade, we'll have a deep dive on Lemonade later today. That's up about 1%. Archer, how is that one doing? That one did have a short report a couple weeks ago, that one, and then they did dilute as well. That's up about 1%. Nebius right here, 49.68. ASTS, it did have some dilution yesterday, fell to 49. They're at 50.91. Rocket Lab, that was at 34 yesterday. That one is at 32.44. Rocket Lab is green. UNH, what do we got? 303. Marvell, this one's been doing very well. Wow, that's up 5%. They didn't even have earnings. Ironically, Micron's the one that's flat. All the other semis are up. You would think maybe Micron catches a bit as soon as the market opens. But we're going to see AMD 145.97. Again, congrats to all the AMD bulls. Incredible. Palantir right here, 144. If you are just joining, we talked about Palantir's $100 million 5-year contract with the nuclear company. So if you go back to like the first 10 minutes of the show, you'll see us talk about that. So that was a big deal for Palantir. We'll have merch coming out later today. Eliano will join the show at 10:30 to launch that merch. Meta right here at 714, Salesforce 268, Cisco 6874, Coinbase, great day yesterday on Coin, flat right here in the pre-market 355. And then Circle was down about 10% yesterday. Circle is up 5%. So Circle continuing to gain some momentum as well and get some love right here. SMCI, that's up about 1%. IREN, is that one still moving? Again, haven't looked too deep into this. This one's basically flat right here. Walmart, 97.15, and then Grab, 464 as we get into the market open. All right, here we go. So what are we watching out for today? We are looking out for Nvidia, and if this thing can maintain all-time highs, it's at 156 in the pre-market. That's all-time highs. I want to know if that dumps or pumps as soon as we get into the open. Definitely going to be looking for Micron and seeing if that can catch a little bit of a bid. Tesla, if that stays flat. Palantir hit 147 yesterday, all-time highs. We are basically chilling in that 145 range. So we can see the reaction that it gets to the deal today. Robinhood continuing to normalize itself above 80, which is incredible. So just holding that would be important. And then we'll get some more macro data at 10 a.m. and we'll see how the broader market interprets it as well. All right, folks, here we go. We got about 10 seconds left. Once again, thank you for joining me every single morning. Today I was a little bit early, and I appreciated those who appreciated that, even though no one could believe I was early. But nonetheless, we were here. We're live. We're alive. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the stock market is now open. All right, wake your ass up. Let's get into it. Palantir opens up at $145.95, 145.6. Let's see if Palantir can continue to maintain some of that momentum. 145.95 is what we hit today. 147 was the all-time high. Tesla right here, 326. Nvidia opens up at 155.52. So Nvidia does open up at an all-time high, a little bit lower than the pre-markets, but Nvidia currently is green. AMD 144, that's green. S&P 609. S&P is $3 away from all-time highs. $3 away from all-time highs. Google 172. SoFi 1620. Crypto is coming back to SoFi. Probably by the end of the year is what they said yesterday. And when they get that back, that is going to be very bullish for their crypto and transaction revenues on the Invest platform. Enphase up 9%. So Enphase was down about 50%, or not 50, 38% last week on the solar subsidies being cut in the new spending bill. Looks like Enphase is getting a little bit of a bid right here. Microsoft 495, Palo Alto Networks 205. That's up about 1%. ASTS 5175, MicroStrategy 388, Uber 91. Uber basically at all-time highs. Tessie 327. Palantir did get to 146. We are right back at 146. 147 again is the 147.67 is the all-time high. Nvidia 154. All right, so Nvidia getting rejected at 155. 154.83. Robinhood still holding on to 83.32, and then Palantir trying to hold on to 146. Oscar, are we green on Oscar? We are green on Oscar. $20. $20 again for Oscar. That is up. AMD right here losing some of its red or losing some of its green as well. Same thing with Nvidia. Tesla getting the bid. All right, so Tesla goes green, Nvidia and AMD go red. Google right here at 172, Amazon right here at 213, Meta 715, and then you got PayPal right here 72.84, AppLovin 337. That's down about 1%. Bitcoin 107. right now. Nubank 1325. That's had a good week. Lockheed Martin is slightly flat. Let's look at the Brick Gang ETF. AMD, we're green on everything, especially on Tesla. Visa right here is slightly down on the day. Even Duolingo back above 400. JP Morgan, that's up a little bit. And then you got Palantir at 145. In terms of the semis, everything's green. Where's Micron? Micron flat. That is weird, dude. Didn't expect Micron to be flat. Didn't expect that to be flat. Really didn't. It was a good earnings yesterday. I mean, if you're in it, you kind of just got to say, all right, it's a good earnings. Market's not giving it any love right now. It is up 40% year to date, but thought that would get a bit more of a bid. It's overall helping the semiconductor ecosystem, though. CrowdStrike, 503. Wow, touched 500 today. Is that an all-time high for CrowdStrike? I think it is. Yeah, all-time high for CrowdStrike, 503. Dude, this stock fell round about 10% 2 weeks ago. Was that like 460, 440? And then obviously in August in 2024, this thing was below 300. So this has been an absolute monster. CrowdStrike has never been a cheap stock. It will never be a cheap stock. It was the cheapest it ever was since IPO after the whole Y2K disaster. And just like Palantir, it's not going to be a cheap stock. So if you buy those dips, even when they seem expensive after a big drop, you know, this is a name that's just going to continue to get a lot of momentum, given they're able to keep up the growth and given the market gives them a premium because they have not a monopoly, but they have a really strong position when it comes to endpoint security. CrowdStrike right here, 498, Nvidia 154, Tesla 330. So Tesla's up 1%. Everything else relatively flat currently right now. Merch store link, I don't have it yet. I'm pretty sure it's live. I can check Eliano's Twitter, but he'll be on at 10:30 and he'll introduce everything and we'll talk more about the merch. But that should be coming out in a bit. UNH, is that getting a little bit of a bump? UNH right here, 304 for UNH. 304.63. Rocket Lab's doing a launch today. What time? Is that happening at 11? Last time they did it at 11:30. Rocket Lab 33.79. Maybe that's also why it's been pumping this week. Just the anticipation of a little bit more of a pump on the momentum of their launch. And they've had a lot of successful launches over the past couple of months at this point. We watched one of them live 2 weeks ago. And, you know, they're becoming a real launch partner at this point. Did I say currently right now again? Dude, at this point, like, it's just natural for me. Like, I don't even, like, I tried to stop myself a couple times yesterday and I didn't know what to say. Like, I was like going to finish my sentence with currently right now. I had to like take a pause because like, how do I finish this sentence? Like, I need to say what I know how to say. All right, let's see what else we have playing out. Jobs data was 236 versus 245 on initial jobs claims. 236 versus 245. So it was a nice little beat to the downside on 236 versus 245 right here. AMD 143.99. So you got AMD that's holding up a little bit. CRN, I don't know what this. Are you guys saying that's currently right now? That's hilarious. I thought that was a ticker. I can't believe you guys. I thought CRN was a ticker. That's actually up 100%. Of course, it's currently right now. Of course. I literally thought it was some biotech or something that's running. Best chat on YouTube. Best chat on YouTube. Rock Lab 3434. That's all-time highs on Rock Lab. All-time highs on the Lab of Rockets. Wow. Guess it's getting a pump before its launch. CoreWeave is up about 2%. Nebius is up about 2%, 1.4%. Marvell is really getting some love today. They're getting a little bit of a Micron pump, even though Micron's not getting that pump, up 5.7% on Marvell. That's incredible, dude. That's pretty freaking incredible. They didn't even need Spider-Man to save them on this one. I mean, this is amazing. Up 5.87%. You got TSSI. We did have a guest on the show yesterday, a Timu Matthew McConaughey, as you guys called him, who is pretty bullish on TSSI. This is a small cap, but they work with the servers for Dell. The risk here, if anyone is interested in this, is that they can dilute. Their stock's up 100% in the past month. It would be pretty obvious for them to dilute and take advantage of shareholders right here. You can't blame the company for doing it. But it is a pretty important part of the stack when it comes to the overall servers that Dell provides for the GPUs, which they get demand from for NVIDIA, XAI, etc. So you got TSSI right there, up about 9%. Tesla right here, 327. Palantir, 146. Palantir trying to get back to 147. We might get a chance to get there. And then Rocket Lab really getting some momentum. All right, 20 cents away from 35. Let me check resistance on Rocket Lab at 35. We are looking at, folks, 113,000 shares. 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 113,0 113,000 shares. Where is Shopify? Shopify right here is down 4%. I don't know why Shopify's down. I'm not sure. TTD is also down. That's weird. TTD and Shopify both down. I don't want to say they're blue chip stocks, but they are growth stocks that have you can see they've traded in a range for the past couple months. Both of them kind of getting hit right here. I don't think there's any news on Shopify. Maybe they both got downgrades today. Let's see if we can find something. Shopify and TTD. TTD has to be something with advertising if that one's getting hit. And then Shop, I have no idea. TTD, Wells Fargo downgraded. They said rising competition from Amazon. Okay, so they think Amazon's going to be a big player when it comes to advertising, which they will. I don't know if that means bearish TTD. And then Shopify looks technicals. Doesn't look like there's an actual reason right here on Shopify. Rock Lab, are we at 35? Did we hit it? Yeah. Wow, dude. Busted through. My goodness. Rocket Lab up 9.35%. There you go. All right, folks. I don't think we've rang the bell all year for Rocket Lab. There we go. Congrats to those holding Rocket Lab. Dude, is this thing going to 40? Is this thing going to 49%? Why is it up 9%? Like, the launch is cool, but like, their earnings estimates it's not like they didn't factor in that launch. I mean, this is just goodness. All right, where's Palantir? Palantir, are we moving as well? Palantir, we're still at 146.50. I'll check 147 resistance in a second. Tesla right here, 326. Is ASTS moving on Rocket Lab? That's up about 4% as well. It looks like that's moving up with Rocket Lab. 35.22. I'll check resistance on 36. It's getting a bid. It is getting a bid. 36 resistance on Rocket Lab is 20,000, which is not much. 20,000 on Rocket Lab. Because the mob are filled with winners. Look, Space Mob, you guys have had a great year on Rocket Lab and ASTS. Now here's the question. Does anyone feel Rocket Lab's getting frothy at these levels? What's Rocket Lab's price to sales? Let's just see. And yes, I own Palantir, but still we're looking at another company. Rocket Lab right here up 10%. Price to sales is 35. Its stock price is its price to sales. I mean, look, it's definitely getting up there. The question is the momentum on their side, and are they getting potentially the perception that they're going to win a lot more contracts as well? And is that enough to just keep them going? Rocket Lab right here, 35.80. Dude, we're about to break 36. We're about to break it. We are about to break it. I mean, I thought even at 25, 26, and if you look at some of their multiples, given they're not profitable, it is a little expensive. Granted, momentum's there. And then let me check the short float on Rocket Lab. That's why, again, it's hard to be short some of these companies. Short float, yeah, short float is 12%. I mean, you get a move like this, you can get a little bit of a squeeze pretty quickly if that's how it plays out. Rocket Lab 36, again, 20,000 shares, 10 cents away. 10 cents away. My average on Rocket Lab is 20. What is it? 22.95. 22. I'm up 57% on this position. I did not expect to be up 57%. I really just bought it as a long-term hold, and you guys are still bullish on it. Matt's still bullish on it. I was like, all right, let's, little SpaceX will hold it long term. But this one's really performing. This is like helping the portfolio a lot this year. I mean, it's doing very well. Rock Lab right here, 35.90 for those that are deep in it. Congrats, because that's one is doing pretty well. Palantir is 30 cents away from all-time highs, 147. So we broke through that 147.30, 30 cents away from all-time highs. 30 cents away. 147.60 would be all-time highs. Rock Lab right here, 35.98 got rejected. Verizon 42.21, Tesla 3.29, S&P $3 away from all-time highs as well. Why is ASML down? I don't know, but this thing hit 800, which was super bullish, just psychologically yesterday. Don't know why it's down 3% today. Micron, is that still moving? Micron goes red. That's weird. It's weird. I don't know why that's red, but that's weird. Are we at 36? Oh my goodness, bro. 30 freaking 6 for Mr. Rocket Lab. Matt Money is at work right now. And Either he's focusing on work and doesn't know what's happening, or he's not giving a shit about work right now. Goodness gracious. Rocket Lab, 36.37. I don't know why it's up 12%, but it's up. If anyone has any reasons for that, let me know. Palantir right here, 147.35. I'll do a search real quick and see if there's any upgrade or anything it got today outside of that launch that's happening. But it's getting some momentum. No, nothing. It's pure. It's a lot of people are saying it's a lot of technicals and just a breakout, which is fine. Doesn't have to be anything fundamental. But there you go. Oscar right there, 21. All right, Oscar trying to get back to where it was last week. Oscar up about 8% right here. Palantir again, 20 cents away from that all-time high grab at 461. SoFi as well. Great day, up 1%. SoFi, great day. Arnie said the merch store sold out in 10 minutes. Wait, did it? Is it like, hold on. Eliano was supposed to come on my show and launch the merch store. It actually sold out? Oh, shit, it did. Look at Arnie just posted this. Some of these sold out. Holy crap, dude. Well, Eliano's still going to do a giveaway on my show, so we'll be able to give away some merch, even if you guys can't buy it yet. Goodness gracious, bro. Palantir, all-time highs? No, 4 cents away. 4 cents away. 4 cents away. To be fair, we launched the merch, or Palantir launched the merch back when the stock was 25, and that was an all-time high back then. Not an all-time high, but a 52-week high back in June of this. It was literally June of 2024, and now the stock is 147, and the stock just hit an all-time high, folks. 147.70 is what we just hit. 148 potentially is what we're looking to see. Let me check resistance real quick for 148. 148 on Palantir, about 30 cents away, 41,000 shares. 41,000 shares. Rocket Lab did not hit 37, but Rocket Lab is close to getting there. I'll check resistance on that as well. 36.40 right here. Rocket Lab, 37, 7,000 shares, which is not a lot. Not a lot. That's crazy, bro. That is absolutely crazy. Merch store sold out. All right. Well, we'll still get to do a giveaway and give away some of the merch. But yeah, dude, the company has obviously changed dramatically over the past year since the merch was first launched. And it's pretty incredible. Just pretty incredible to see the journey. And part of the reason why the merch was so important is because it developed the brand loyalty and the excitement for people across the world that believed in Palantir years ago to represent their beliefs with a shirt or with a hat. And that in and of itself is just something that's been really special for shareholders across the world for Palantir. 147.90, folks. We are 10 cents away from 148. 10 cents away. This is 2 days in a row of no one working. 2 days in a row of no one working at home because you can't stop staring at Palantir. There you go. 148 up 3.5% on Palantir. 148.22. My goodness. Rocket Lab still right here at 35.97. Guys, it looks like she wants 150. I'm just saying, it looks like she wants it. Market cap is $349 billion. 149 resistance is 41,000 shares. It looks like Palantir wants a little bit of the 150s. Let's ring the bell. All-time highs, 2 days in a row for Palantir. Dude, this is pretty wild, bro. This is pretty freaking wild. Peter, thank you for the $20 super chat. Thanks to this community. I bought Hood up 110%. Rocket Lab up 210%. And Palantir, I'm up 610%. He said, Amit gave me Hood. Matt Money gave him Rocket Lab. And himself and trusting Carp picked Palantir. Well, Peter, there's definitely a little bit of luck involved, but I don't think it was dumb luck. I think there was a lot of people in this community that contributed tons and tons and tons of due diligence to figure out if this thing made sense. And it ended up working. So congratulations, man. Absolutely incredible. Rocket Lab, Palantir, Hood. Been on an incredible run for the past couple of years. Definitely this year as well. And dude, it's wild. It is really wild to see some of this momentum. I think also, look, I get it. Palantir is expensive. I don't even think we talk about how expensive it is anymore because we spent so much time over the past year talking about it was expensive. Multiples were aggressive, yada, yada. But at some point, you also are just like, well, this is what the market's normalizing. And even if it were to fall to $100, which would be a 47% retracement, that would be ugly. At $100, it's not like it's like the cheapest stock in the world. At $100, it's still expensive. So it comes to a point where it's like, people say there's a bubble and like it has to collapse. Palantir's gotten to the point where at 100 people were saying it had to collapse to 50 to $30. Now it's at 147. Like, is it going to go from 147 to 30? Really? All of that money that has come into the company, all of the belief, all the new shareholders, it's all just going to go to shit like a GameStop. It's just hard to believe that's going to happen. Going to see a pullback, of course. Like, no one's denying that. But back down to 70, 80, even that would be aggressive at this point. Like, they would have to colossally mess up earnings. And when they introduce $100 million deals like they got today with the nuclear company, and they're building entire operating systems for what nuclear energy will look like, regardless of if you think that's worth the multiple that it's getting, the market's not going to look at that and be like, oh, that's just GameStop diluting shareholders to buy more Bitcoin. That's real. It's very, very real. And that is how the market is interpreting that as well. 147 right here on Palantir. Tesla, 326. And then where is the Lab of Rockets? 3640 on Mr. Rocket Lab. BBAI, that one's rolling as well. That one was up yesterday at 535. Yeah, that one's up 11%. It was also down the other day, so that one's kind of recovering. And then Hoodie, 83, holding on to the 83 level. Is Quantum Scope still running QS, right? That company, QuantumScape, that's up 8%. That was up 20% the other day. Google right here, 170. Google goes red again. QBTS 1411, that's red. And Rigetti, that is up about 2% in the quantum names. CoreWeave sinking. CoreWeave. Yeah, it's down 2%. It was up almost 4%. Uber still at 91. And Nebius, along with CoreWeave, that one also going down 49.23. 49.23. Circle's up for some reason. I don't know how the money's coming back into Circle, but it's coming right back into Circle. It is down from 298 a couple days ago, but still 217. It was below 200 yesterday. That's what you got on Circle. Yeah, we looked at TSSI. That's moving. I mean, look, Josh gave the thesis yesterday. I mean, you guys have been asking for coverage of more small caps and stuff like that. That's why I had him on the show. TSSI, from the due diligence I've done, is not a shitco company. Like, it's a real thing. It's way better than a lot of the other small caps some people have been talking about. And so he gave out the thesis for 20, 30 minutes. Again, the risk is that this thing could collapse, not collapse, but like get diluted, which could get the share price to collapse. But they're growing earnings at like 520%. Granted, it's at an all-time high. So if you're buying it here, that's the risk you have to understand. I'm not buying it, but it is a small cap. It can move, and it is moving right here as probably off Micron's earnings. I mean, Micron earnings just means that there's more server demand ultimately for the entire ecosystem, and they make a critical component for the Dell servers. And so that is probably what's getting it some love. Unfortunately, Micron's not getting that love yet, which is weird. Microsoft, there you go. Or not Microsoft, Micron, down 1%. So it's weird that Micron's not getting it, but there you go. Holy crap, 37. Well, what is going on, bro? What is going on? You look away for 2 minutes. It was just at 35.50. Dude, what's happening? Why is it getting this much of a pump? Like, what is going on? Rocket Lab 37.19. I mean, this is just incredible. It's absolutely just incredible. 37. I'm trying to see if there's any news. Like, I don't see any news. It seems all technicals. I mean, I'll take it. I'm not upset about it, but goodness, bro, I don't see a reason for this today. Palantir, you could say maybe that nuclear contract they got this morning, that could be why the street's excited. But Rocket Lab is just coming out of nowhere. There you go. Rocket Lab, 37.21. Let me check 38 resistance, up 15% today. 38 resistance is 14,000. 14,000. And this is shorted, 12%. So a squeeze on this, not crazy to imagine. I mean, maybe this is a little bit of the squeeze. But what's triggering the squeeze? Like, what's triggering the buying pressure that's causing the shorts to cover if this is squeezing? Which we don't fully know if it's squeezing. But if it is, maybe someone knows something, bro. And we don't know it yet, but maybe someone knows. Fear and Greed right here is 63. Fear and Greed at 63. Because it's 2021 again. Okay, so look, I don't think it's 2021 per se. However, you can't ignore some of the signs. And yesterday, the CBOE filed for a Pudgy Penguin NFT ETF. again, I don't know what to make of this. There's plenty of reasons for why we're not in 2021. I can point to all the different macro stuff, but this shit, this shit can make you want to sell everything as soon as you see stuff like that. Granted, hopefully it's an anomaly and an outlier in a rather earnings-driven market, but it is kind of weird. Palantir right here, 146, Robin at 83.22, and then Nvidia goes red, 154. 154 right now. Rocket Lab secures contract for LEO navigation. I mean, that could be the reason we knew about that, but I don't know if that's enough for 15% day. But if it is, then there you go. That's what you got. AMD is also down. AMD is also down. Yeah, NVIDIA and AMD losing their steam. Palantir is losing a little bit of steam as well. Did hit 148, which is 148.22. That is the new all-time high. Palantir looks like it wants 150, and I think we need a pretty good earnings to get there, along with just S&P 500 all-time high. But money's coming in, and again, dude, like people are going to buy the 130 dip. People will buy the 120 dip. People will buy the 115 dip if it gets there. I don't know if we see 70 or 80 again, but if it does, you're just going to have people that are going to be too excited to buy the name. And this is the nature of what's good about markets. It's like part of the reason why people who bought Apple in 1990 still hold their Apple is because they know that even though Apple probably doesn't deserve to be trading at 30 times, it's freaking Apple. And there's so much of a bid that is constantly going to be put on Apple. Palantir's not at that level yet, but the level of excitement that they get, even if they're not as mature as a company, is what creates that momentum for people to want to get exposure. And you get people buying in. Oscar right here is up still on the day as well. Palantir 146, Oscar back to 21, up 10%. So Oscar took a nice dip to 1850 yesterday. And now it is green. Taking profits is not bad at these levels, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, we saw Crossroads. He sold 300 shares at 142 to help finance his new Tesla the other day. I mean, dude, it's funny. It's really funny because every time you've taken profits on Palantir, it has been the wrong time. It's like actually hilarious, bro. Like anytime you said, all right, I bought at 7, I'm going to sell at 20. Wrong time. Bought at 20, I'm going to sell at 40. Wrong time. Bought at 40, I'm going to sell at 60. Wrong time. Bought at 60, I'm going to sell at 95. Wrong time. Bought at 95, I'm going to sell at 135. Wrong time. And by the way, it's not just retail. Karp, Peter Thiel, Sham, all the insiders, every time they've sold, it's just like been the wrong. If they had just waited another month, they could have made another couple $100 million by waiting. And so it's incredible. Whenever they sold, someone else was willing to buy from them, and they were right. Whoever was buying it. So it's just one of those names, dude. And either that's scary and there's some epic collapse coming, or this is just a name that is continued to encapsulate the world's attention and get that much momentum. This is why, when people say, what's the next Palantir, bro? What is another name that can do what this has done? I mean, just look at this all-time chart. What is another name that can actually IPO, go up 4x, go down basically 85%, and from the depths of that low have a chart like this where the earnings growth and the excitement of the company becomes something that the entire world cares about. And, it gets to these levels. It's going to be hard to find a name like that. I mean, the closest we have is in a sector that is, I mean, the chart, look at the chart. Even the chart looks like it. It's in a sector that has nothing to do with what Palantir goes after, which is Robinhood in consumer finance. I mean, it is insane. It's just insane that both of these have kind of gone on this trajectory. And if Robinhood can get anywhere near this 145, 150 range, which isn't that crazy to say, maybe not this year, but it would be the most similar story that I could find. Rock Lab right here, 3658, Duolingo. Dude, I have no freaking clue why Duolingo is down as much as it's down this week. Like, I just really have no idea. Anduril, yeah, again, the two things about Anduril that's important. Their margins are going to be bad, and they're a defense contractor. They don't have a commercial business. Now, could the hype alone get them that momentum? Yes, but at the end of the day, Robin and Palantir have earnings growth. People have to remember, Anduril is a defense contractor. They make hardware. They use software, but they make hardware. They don't have software margins. I doubt they're going to have 45% adjusted operating margins like a Palantir, or 37% operating leverage like a Robinhood. So the question then becomes, what does the street give them a multiple on? And I have no idea. But I think, the hype of retail will definitely get them a multiple. The question is going to be, can it be as aggressive as a hoodie or a Palantir? Shout out to Arnie, my brother, in saying that we picked those two. Proud of our DD. Dude, it is, every time I think about, both of us talking back in 2023 about these names, it's just wild. It's just not easy to find these names. It's really not. It's not easy, dude. And I definitely couldn't have done it without Arnie. Both of I remember deep, long conversations at like 12 a.m. my time, 5 a.m., whatever time it is in Italy. We'd just be on Zoom. I remember when Palantir was $10. We were like, so we're gonna be right on this, right? And Arnie was like, I think so. I think so will be right. I think the street just doesn't get it yet. And his Arnie is just so incredible. His accent is just so beautiful. But it's just like every time we were sitting there late at night, we're like, we're gonna be right? Like we're gonna be right. And he's like, yeah, eventually, street will catch up. And I don't know if we expected it like this, but it happened. And same thing with Hood, right? Like Hood fell 15% after their Q3 November earnings. And that's when Arnie and I started really getting into it. They went from like 12 to 7. And we were like, dude, what is going on? Why is the street disrespecting it like this? And that's when we both just said, all right, it's time to really dive deeper. Google right here, 170, SoFi 1625, AMD 143, Nvidia getting some momentum again, 155. And then Reddit right here, 143. Rocket Lab still holding on to 36, 33 currently right now. Bro just committed a hate crime. Yes, that is my Mario impression. That is my Arnie Mario impression. Oh, yeah, dude, how could I forget about this? We spent the entire night after AIPCon talking on... Dude, we came back from AIPCon. Dude, I totally forgot about this. This is when Robinhood was $18. And we literally stayed up, I think, till the flight. Because we both had a flight in the morning. And we stayed up till the flight. And for like, we spent, I think, a good 5 hours being like, so Robinhood, like, it's legit, right? Like, we're not stupid about this. Like, we like Vlad, we could trust this guy, right? And we started comparing them to all these other finance companies, and like Arnie started putting up the balance sheet. And it's like, well, if you look at their cash and this and that, it was one of the most productive discussions. And I was loaded up the ass with options in 2024 on Hood. So I was like, Arnie, I'm not going to lose my shit, right? Like, it's going to work, right, Arnie? And he's like, I think so. It's going to work. And it ended up working. It ended up working right here. Nvidia, again, 145 or 154 right here. Did I say currently right now again? Dude, I can't help myself at this point. I'm sorry, dude. I can't help myself. I don't know what to tell you guys. I can't do it. Meta 716. Meta, is that all-time highs on Meta? No, Meta 740. 740 all-time highs. 740 all-time highs. Dude, how do I keep saying? So can someone clip when I say see the currently right now and just send it to me? Like, I don't even like it just naturally at this point. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. 84 on Hoodie. 84 on Hoodie. There you go. Microsoft all-time highs. Dan Ives did say this thing's going to 600 next year. Microsoft 496. There she goes. There she goes. Rocket Lab. Are we still holding 37? Rocket Lab 37. Right back to 37. Right back to 37. Is Elon talking live right now? I don't think Elon's live today. At least not today. Home sales. All right, we just got home sales. Let's see. Are we good? Let me pull it up. Home sales. Okay, so the market wanted. Wow, this is really good. The market wanted negative 2.1%. We came in at 1.1% on home sales. Dude, that's not bad at all. The market thought home sales year over year would contract 2.1% year over year. They came in up 1.1%. And then home sales month over month, the street thought it would be negative 0.3%. It came in at 1.8%. These are not bad. $609. Not really moving on that, but that is pretty good for home sales. Steve's buying a lot of houses. Yeah, exactly. 10 years at 4.2. Mike is bad. All right, hold on. Okay. How about the mic now? Echo? Or is it better? No, it's bad? Okay, hold on. We're gonna switch. 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 Let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. Let's switch back. Okay. It's not me. StreamYard, bro. I'm telling you, it's not me. It's really just not me. Dude, you guys gotta be consistent. There's every comment says good, every comment says bad. So like, hold on. Okay, now it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. All right, cool. Yeah, too many people are trolling, bro. Too many people are saying bad when it's bad when it's good, but it's not. All right, we're good. Okay. S&P 609. Let me see if I can get the housing data stuff. So let me pull this up right here. And we'll take a look at these home sales.
And the rise of Zoran Mamdani could impact realtors. This is a small beat. The street was actually looking for basically flat. Now, this count is based on signed contracts. So people out shopping in May when mortgage rates were climbing and briefly went over 7% on the 30-year fix. Regionally, sales were strongest month to month in the Northeast and West, but compared with last year, sales were down everywhere except in the South and Midwest. Midwest is the cheapest, of course. South is where they have the most for sale. So, okay, why the tiny gain with rising rates in overall sales? It's likely due to all more supply. There are 31.5% more homes for sale now than there were at this time last year. But just for perspective, the pending home sales index, while slightly higher than it was a year ago, is hovering around the lowest level in 24 years. It's just a few points higher than it was in April 2020 during the pandemic shutdown, that 1 month drop. Now, yesterday we got the report on new home sales, which is also based on signed contracts, and it tanked well over 13% for the month. New homes are more expensive comparatively, and there are very few new builds at the entry-level price point. So really, Sarah, it is just all about affordability and lack thereof in today's market.
Okay, Diana, thank you. Diana Olek. I mentioned real estate underperforming. Also watching some of these specifically New York exposed real estate stocks, which have really been on the move over the last 2 days, lower yesterday after the results of the New York primary election for mayor showed Mamdani with a decisive win. They're coming back a little bit today, but some of the banks that are also exposed to the New York real estate sector. Look, David, this is a big deal. Not just, you can say just it matters for you guys in New York City. New York City is and the metro area that serves New York City is a more than $2 trillion economy, which basically puts it the size of the economy of Brazil. And it's almost 9% of US GDP. Obviously,
I saw that stat yesterday, and that was kind of wild that New York's metropolitan area is 2% of US GDP. Again, that stat is insanity, bro. New York is almost 8.3% of overall US GDP. And what matters there is that, you got it. So the mayoral election in New York City matters, given, the city has that much of an economic impact. And so we're going to see how Mamdani turns out to be as a mayor, but it's definitely going to have a big job in terms of navigating the different economics of it. Nvidia 156, we got back there, 155.91. So those home sales are rather decent, even if the rate of growth of homes month over month yesterday was not the best. So you do have a little bit of a conflicting data right there, especially on new home starts versus pending home sales. But it is nice to see that get some momentum this morning. Robinhood right here, 84.18, Palantir 145, SPY 609, AMD 143, and then Nvidia holding on to 155. Micron just not being a performer today. Google once again basically flat. Apple also flat. Bitcoin 107. App loving that one continues to go down 1%. Microsoft really has been one of the best Max 7s this year, along with Nvidia. And I didn't think Microsoft was going to be one of the best Max 7s, but it was. HIMS, no one's buying this dip, bro. No one's buying this dip. You're just not seeing people take advantage of this. It's basically been stuck at the same price for the past couple of days, but at least no one's selling it from here. I mean, it hasn't gone below 40, which is really important, but it's holding on to 42. And then CoreWeave as well, down about 2.34%. Yeah, Meta. I forgot about Meta. I mean, Meta, 740 got there in February, And then it was kind of a blow off the top for the entire market. 716 again. Meta fell below 500 at one point. The only fear I had with Meta, we didn't talk about this. Meta officially poached 3 of the OpenAI researchers. We don't know how much they gave them, but obviously the rumors are that they're paying upwards of $100 million for each person, which is kind of insane. It just goes to show if you're willing to give $100 million of comp to one person to help them research AI, then obviously it's a very, very, very large industry. And you'd be willing to spend whatever you need to spend for the GPUs. NVIDIA has all the pricing power in the world if you're willing to spend $100 million just for the research. But they are heating up the AI race. So the reason this only worries me about Meta is because of their operating margins. I just wonder if Zucks is getting a little friendly with his unlimited credit card, and if that could maybe not be the best for margins. Granted, long-term, if you're in Meta, you probably don't care, right? Because you want him to keep spending to grow. But if you're initiating a position at this price, margins might not be the best going into the next quarter. Granted, this is so speculative because we have no idea like how much these guys are getting paid, how much he's spending, but ultimately we'll find out over the coming quarters. Coinbase still up 5%. All right, that one getting some love. Coinbase right here, 373, trying to get back up to 400. That's a new 52-week high for Coinbase. That's a big one. Coinbase up $18. Novix, we haven't talked about this one in a while. Battery company. This one's up a nice 9% on the day. They probably have a contract with either Meta or Apple to make batteries for their VR devices. But the VR devices aren't really in production yet, so that hasn't resulted in a ton of revenue yet. Metaverse 2.0. Well, AI is not metaverse. I mean, AI feels real. It's just like, what is Zucks doing in, this real version of AI that's going to manifest itself to be paying as much as he's paying. Yeah, they're investing in everything from energy to power to data centers as well. That's correct. UNH, how's that one doing? UNH is flat, 302. I mean, it's up a little bit, but it's flat. Tassie right here recovered a bit from the 320 lows, but yeah, market's not giving this one that robotaxi premium like it got before. Dollar is the weakest it's been in 15 years. At one point, we went below 97. We're just above it right now. The 10-year as well is starting to come down, which is also really bullish. 10-year right here. Look at that, 4.279. I mean, again, for the bears saying recession, like you're getting a lot of conducive things that the street has been looking for. And again, you could say yields are coming down because there's things that's weakening in the economy. But then you look at jobless claims and it's like that. Where's the weakness? This is like, and I've been trying to like read up on some bear cases of like what's going on, like why should we be afraid? And the thesis comes down to maybe earnings don't grow that much and maybe we have a recession. And that's just too many maybes. Like we have to see the data, and the data so far is completely the opposite against at least the current 2 bear cases that I'm hearing the most right now. SoFi, are we getting a run? SoFi, the crypto news is big for SoFi, and the remittances that they put out yesterday is big for SoFi. So that's why you're seeing SoFi get that 2% right here. Now, if it can break above 17, that would be very, very bullish. Truth Social, did Trump tweet? We got a tweet. All right, here you go, folks. Trump tweet. Fake news reporters from CNN and the New York Times should be fired immediately. Bad people with evil intentions. That is Mr. Trump's tweet. Celsius up 4%. Yeah, that's correct. Celsius right here. Up about 4%. Are you at all concerned with China taking over Taiwan? No. Not in the short term. I mean, long term, yes. But I mean, short term, I think China has way more economic issues to deal with. Like the 2 interpretations here are either their economy gets so bad they need to take over Taiwan to reunify the population and give them a purpose and something to believe in. The bear case against that is that their economy is so bad they can't think of invading because they would get annihilated. They just wouldn't have the ability to survive. And speaking of that, you got this headline here today. Russian banks fear a debt crisis is coming as war strains economy. You cannot go into a war and not have a functioning economy. And China's economy is way better than Russia's, but it's not like it's absolutely thriving. And so I think that lack of economic mobility will at least stop them for for now. CVNA, how is that one doing? Carvana, that one's down. Again, this is Jim Chanos' short, right? Carvana? Yeah, this is the one he's publicly short right now. AMD goes red. Nvidia still holding on to 156, even though AMD goes red. SoFi 1630. Amazon 213. Meta, new high of day, 718. On Meta. I have no thoughts on Lemonade. We're going to do a deep dive today, and I'll get introduced to this company. So for those that are interested, we'll talk about it tonight. 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Lilly 796, Dell 125. Dell, wow, Dell's up 5% and Micron's not. That is incredible. Micron really just going the opposite direction here from a Dell, even though they didn't say hello. And Marvell is the opposite direction, up 4.2% as well. SMCI also getting love. Yeah, there you go, 48. That's up 3%. I'm happy some of you guys got it. I'm happy some of you guys got it, dude. This is what I wake up and I'm motivated to do. It's get those one-liners out. Let's get those freaking one-liners out, dude. We have to do it. Dude, so I don't eat anything during like for the market open, right? I used to get a little bit of coffee. So I just don't do anything now. I'm just like, I wake up and like I don't do coffee, food, anything. And because my grandmother's home from India, if you know anything about Indian grandmothers, they like go crazy if you don't eat anything or drink anything. And so this morning before I did the show, for the like 100th time, she was like, "So you're really not going to eat anything? So you're really not going to drink any tea, anything?" I was like, "No, I do it on an empty stomach every day. Like, that's just like, I can't have stuff in my system." And like, it's like she wants to cry, bro. It's legit like she wants to cry. It's like, how are you going to talk for 3 hours with no food? I was like, I've done it for 2 years. Like, you just don't like, it's worse when you have food in your system and you're trying to like analyze everything going on. She was legit going to cry this morning. I was like, I just can't eat anything. Meta right here, trying to go for 720. No, it did hit 720. 720.71. 720.71. I mean, why do you need coffee and caffeine when Palantir is hitting new all-time highs? I mean, that's like, I would hope to an extent this show can be people's caffeine in the morning. Because in this type of market, dude, every day there's something to be excited about. Every day there's something to be excited about. Don't make your grandmother cry. Dude, yesterday I literally I let her make lunch for me. Because usually I don't let her make lunch because like I don't want her to work and like have to I don't want her to cook for me. And then yesterday I was like, all right, you can cook for me. She was so happy, bro. She was so happy. Like it's like this woman just thrives off being able to cook for other people. Low key, it's not a bad quality for a wife. I'm just saying, bro. If your wife is literally about to cry because she can't cook for you, I mean, dude, you're gonna get some good meals, bro. You're gonna get some good meals. Does anyone have a wife like that where like she just has to cook for you? Like she thrives off making you want to make you food. I feel like that's a decent quality. That's not horrible quality, but that's how she is. I wish. Dave says I'm that wife. Dude, I need to learn how to cook, bro. I need to legit learn how to cook. I think in the new apartment, I every week I want to challenge myself. Maybe I should do a public Twitter thing, like challenge myself to learn one new meal every week. Because I can do some cooking, but like not at the level where I feel like if I had to take the responsibility of cooking in a relationship, that I could like easily hold that down. SoFi 1640. Let's check resistance on 17. Rocket Lab 3650 still. Okay, 17. I'm going to bet there's 150,000 shares. That's my bet. SoFi 17. We have 112,000. Okay, so not as bad. Maybe there's a shot. Maybe there's a shot today we can get there. My girlfriend cooks the best food. It just doesn't taste great, but I love her, so it's the best. Dude, I hope she's not watching right now. That's what my grandmother told me yesterday. Because like I genuinely like her food, so I said the food is great, and she was like, "All right, even if the food wasn't great, when you get a wife, make sure you tell her the food is great." And I'm like, "I got you. But her food is actually great, but she doesn't believe me. She's like, "You're just saying that to make me happy." I'm like, "No, it's actually good. Like I like your food." And then she'll ask you like 10 more times, like, "Is it actually good?" I'm like, "Yes, it's good. It's good food. It's not bad. New channel, AK Cooking. Yeah, maybe we need to do that. Maybe. My grab thesis is on Twitter. If you just go on my Twitter, just scroll down like from 10 tweets ago. I posted it on Saturday or Sunday. You'll see the link. There's a Google Doc, and you can check it out. Nvidia 156, Palantir 144. All right, let's see what other headlines we have. What else do we have going on? I don't think we have any Iran updates anymore, or nothing too crazy. Yeah, Eliano just tweeted that everything's sold out. That's crazy, bro. He's going to join in 10 minutes and introduce the store, even though the store sold out. So I guess we'll still be able to do the giveaway, but goodness, bro. That is aggressive. Okay, we have these Wall Street Journal headlines. Trump is pushing for rollback of EU climate regulations in trade talks. Big oil executives, including Exxon's Darren Woods, asked Trump for help. Big oil says EU climate regulations are too erroneous. Wow. So Trump's trying to use the trade negotiations to get his oil buddies some help here. And quite frankly, helping his oil buddies helps the United States' economy because we get to drill, baby, drill. Interesting. I don't know if the Europeans are going to give up their climate stuff. I don't know, bro. You got some people in the United States who are pretty crazy about climate change. The Europeans, they, from my understanding, the biggest protests we've seen across the world have been in Europe when it comes to climate change. So I don't know if that's going to be an easy one for them to get through. But we're going to see. We're going to see. Tanner said, just wrote CCs for 170 on NVIDIA, 15 days out. Thoughts? I think that's good. I don't think that's crazy. 170 in 2 weeks. I mean, that's what? That is $370 billion of market cap. Yeah, I mean, it could happen, but I think those covered calls are relatively safe. 160, I feel like, would be a little too aggressive. 170, I think is reasonable. It's not too bad. Interesting. So they're going for the climate change stuff. I don't know if he's going to get that, dude. I think he'll get the lack of regulations on some of the GDPR stuff. Maybe he can uplift all the stuff on Google and Facebook. But climate change is going to be a little tougher to get through. Why are you guys commenting on how I say that word? It's erroneous, right? That's how you say this shit, right? Wait, is that how you say it? Hold on. How to say... Dude, every time, at least once every freaking day, this shit it's getting ridiculous at this point. I thought it's erroneous.
Onerous.
All right, whatever. There is a word called erroneous, though, right? I'm not crazy. Erroneous. There is a word called erroneous.
Erroneous.
Okay, so erroneous means wrong. Onerous doesn't mean wrong, but it means like something that's difficult, burdensome. I mean, they're kind of the same if you say it real quick. Goodness, dude. I'm going to come up with my own language one day. I'm getting really tired of English. By the way, my take pissed off a lot of people yesterday. My languages is irrelevant to learn in high school take. Dude, there were so many comments. I commented that under Nate was like, oh, Duolingo's down 20%. And then I was like, yeah, people don't need to learn a second language. They need to learn about the stock market. So many people were like, Amit, couldn't believe you would say this. This is such a L take. Like learning a language opens you up to new possibilities and cultures in the world, yada, yada. I'm like, okay. But if you have to pick between learning Spanish or the stock market, like what person picks, I want to learn about Spanish. For what? Like, you want to be broke? How do you say me broke in Spanish? You want to be able to say I'm broke in Spanish? Go ahead. But like, what are we talking about here? There's a choice. I feel like you pick the markets. I feel like that's easy. I feel like it's not even a question, bro. People were so mad. They were like, you're ignoring the cultural diversity of all these languages. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, if you had to mandate a high school curriculum, it is pretty obvious no one really needs another language outside of English. Like, you just don't. I'm sorry. That's not even trying to be like super egotistical about America. It's just true. English, like, if you don't know English, you need to learn English because that is the #1 language across the world in terms of being able to get business done. But it's not like learning Spanish is going to increase your productivity that much. It's not going to increase your value unless you go to Mexico or some of these Latin American countries, and you have to do business in that language. But the far majority of people, you know, that's their career path is not something that's rooted in a Spanish language. I feel like it's obvious here. It's stock market. Where's HIMS? Where's HIMS? Palantir 147 or 144. SoFi 1642. HIMS is 42.85. Okay, HIMS basically still stuck at this 42 level. I speak broken Hindi. I can speak it, but not that well. But like, if I didn't know how to speak Hindi, like, would that really change my life? No. Like, I would, when I go to India, I would sound more American than I already sound. And I already sound pretty American when I try to speak Hindi. But my point is just like, if you have to make a decision between learning about the stock market for 5 years in middle school, high school, or learning Spanish, like, who the hell is picking Spanish? Like, what, like, why? Like, it's just not even, it's not even a question, in my opinion. It's just not even, it just doesn't make sense. Like, again, you can say you're broke in Spanish, but like we need to learn about the markets, bro. Like, so many of us could have been way more wealthy if we got this earlier in life. It's just something I think that everyone needs to care about, and it helps compound the overall economy. Nvidia right here, 155, Googs 171, and then Grab 464. Grab right here, a little stuck. You need to take your own advice and learn English. Okay, that's a good one. That's a that's a good. That's fair. That is fair. I don't know why Enphase is running. It's getting 10%. I'll see if there's any upgrade or headline, but Enphase is running. Dude, did you guys see that video of the guy in Paris, or it was France, who's trying to drive, and then his wife is pregnant and he's trying to get to the hospital, and the climate protesters are in front of him? Have you guys seen that video? And the guy just like rips the protester away from them. Maybe it was in Germany. But that's what the Trump Wall Street Journal headline around the EU climate negotiations reminded me of. It's this guy who's basically ready to run over someone because his wife is pregnant and he's trying to get to the hospital, but these climate protesters are there. And that I think that's what, you know, Trump might bring up in these negotiations of like, hey, you guys are doing a lot of protesting, but, you know, I don't know if it's really affecting the environment. But drilling could help you guys, because you don't have to be as contingent on Russia for your oil, which is, you know, you guys hate Russia. All right, well, this is the economic argument. And then number two, it's great for the United States when it comes to drilling as well. American, thanks for the $10 super chat. When do you think Grab will let the street know about the cash pile they have and the plans for it? I'm thinking latest by end of Q3, but I could be wrong. I would hope it's earlier than that, but I just don't know. There's one where I think they're going to do something with their cash. I think they have to. I mean, you don't raise $1.5 billion if you have $6 billion for fun. So earliest end of Q2, latest end of Q3. Maybe it stretches to 2026, but it probably is going to take a few months to find out. Mo Varani, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the $20 on the super chat. Senate is rethinking solar and the big beautiful bill. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Solar Edge, is that one getting some love? Yeah, that's up 2%. First Solar, that's up 3%. And then Enphase, that's up 10%. Okay, so rethinking of it though, does that mean you're actually going to get subsidies that are meaningful for solar, or at least not cut? Like, I think Enphase is trading off a headline right here, because what if like after they rethink it, they go back to their original proposition, and then, you know, what happens to Enphase is just go down 10% again. So if you're trading this one, you gotta really be on the ball with those headlines and make sure you're paying attention to those. SMCI right here trying to crack 50, 48.25 on SMCI. AMD at 143, and then Nvidia right here 156.37. Yeah, Meta wants solar as well. I saw that headline. I don't know if that's the reason for Enphase, but I did see that headline right here. Meta is exploring more solar. Yeah, Meta's doubling down on solar after last year's 760 megawatts deal. Meta just signed another 4 agreement with Inver Energy, adding nearly 800 megawatts of solar and wind, most of it solar, to support its AI-fueled data center growth. Bullish, but I don't know if that's enough to keep Enphase afloat. Wow, the VIX below 17. Look at that. Seeing a nice level of volatility just come down, which means S&P, I mean, look, again, $3 away from all-time highs. It's coming. 609.82. It is coming. We just got to see if earnings growth can support it, but I think we hit all-time highs potentially before Q2 earnings begins. HIMS 43 as well. Yeah, HIMS getting a little bit of love. And then Rocket Lab 3681. Rocket Lab still up 14% of the day, even with everything else that is played out in the market. Okay, so let's see some of the other stuff we got going on right here. Let me pull this up. I don't think we have any other macro data today. J-Pow's not talking. His testimony is done. We looked at a couple of these upgrades. See if we can get some coverage on Nvidia, and then we'll keep going from there.
At a record high yesterday, overtook Microsoft again as the most valuable company in the U.S. by market cap. Our next guest runs an AI startup backed by Nvidia. Let's bring in Jack Hittery, Sandbox AQ CEO. Welcome back,
Hey,
Jack.
Sarah. Hey, David.
Sitting on the intersection of quantum and AI. First on Nvidia.
Going on in AI.
So
a lot going on.
The push to record highs.
Yeah.
Is it justified by fundamental appetite, innovation, where we are in this cycle? How do you view it?
There's really two groups of companies. There's the companies who are AI is their core business, and we're seeing the market caps of Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, and others really benefit from that. I'll make a prediction right here. I think we'll see the first and maybe 1 or 2 $5 trillion market caps in the next 12 to 24 months. Nvidia, Microsoft being the most likely. Others may be following because their core business is actually driven by AI. The second bucket of companies are industrials, pharma, so on and so forth. They're using AI right now at the margin. They're using LLMs, for example, to improve customer service while reducing $10, $20 million worth. They're using it in marketing, but that's not the core business. So they're not really seeing the lift that the Mag 7 are seeing. They're going to have a tougher time. And I think that the percentage of market cap of the entire economy that the Mag 7 represent, which is now hovering around 30%, is going to increase dramatically in the next 36 months.
Why? Where are we in the sort of demand curve?
Right now,
AI?
we're seeing that people want to adopt large language models. They need the cloud. They need Azure. They need GCP. They need Amazon. But the companies themselves, pharma companies, logistics companies, CPG companies, retailers, are a bit slow in terms of realizing the benefits of that AI. And the reason is large language models do not help your core business. They help you at the margin, reducing some expenses. We need to see a bigger palette of AI, large quantitative models, AI models for pharma,
He's talking his own book here now.
Hey, that's my job, right?
Which is fine, but how does...
But that's my argument.
Give me the evolution of that then, of using Sandbox AQ as an example, and also related to how that's going to still increase the use and need for compute, which is why we still see NVIDIA going.
Yeah. So what we're seeing is, great example, last week we announced with NVIDIA a new data set of 5 million compounds that you can use as Lego blocks to build therapeutics for cancer, for Alzheimer's, for Parkinson's. That really is going to cut down the cost and time to make a new drug. That combination of Sandbox software and NVIDIA hardware, that's the key that unlocked that first-in-class data set. We're going to see more and more of that. That impacts the pharma community. That impacts people like Dow Chemical and other chemical companies. So the first wave of AI, last 2.5 years, was really about large language models. We now are going to see the quantitative side come in. NVIDIA is going to help power that, and the cloud, to your point about quantitative. These GPUs could do more than just language models. They're multifunctional. And what we're going to see with Blackwell, with Vera Rubin, with new products from AMD, and the new chips also, let's not forget, Alphabet and others are also now in the chip business.
Amazon as well.
Amazon, Tesla has got their D1 chip and their other chips. So we're going to see a bigger pot of chip-making innovation than just NVIDIA.
And reasoning obviously takes over from training.
Look, you got people that are pretty damn excited about what can happen for NVIDIA and for the overall tech sector. Meta right here, 720, folks. Meta's not stopping. NVIDIA's about $7 away from $4 trillion. In terms of its market cap, Eliano will be on in a couple minutes, and then we'll talk Palantir merch. The Meta right here, 720, hit 722, and SPY 610. S&P is close, folks. I mean, if the momentum's there today, we're going to hit all-time highs today. We got to see the volume can continue, but up 0.5% right here. As long as nothing too crazy, it's this week. It seems like it's possible. It does seem like it's possible. This has to be a bull trap. All right, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Let's see. By the way, what are you guys doing? Are you selling? Are you holding? Covered calls? We know Tanner's doing some covered calls on Nvidia. Bull trap, yes or no? Yes or no? Again, the reason I think it's not a bull trap, outside of all the froth that we're seeing, which I am annoyed by that. I don't like that we're seeing some of that stuff with Circle and Pudgy Penguin NFT ETFs, is that the labor market's strong, inflation's coming down, earnings growth is good. You can go into a lot more nuance on all three of those topics, but those three things, you put them together, you can't have some massive 20, 30% correction outside of a black swan event when those three things are happening the way they are. And so the bears can, point to a variety of different statistics and go through all their deep dives, but like at the end of the day, inflation's down, jobs are good, earnings growth is strong. And we saw yesterday, institutions, 4 billion of tech stocks they added last week, which was the highest level of NASDAQ tech exposure since June of 2024. So the hedgies are coming in and they're saying, all right, we missed it. We're going to have to buy Nvidia 155, and it is what it is. We got to buy more, and we'll move on from the fact that we didn't buy the dip. The consumer weakening. Okay, so I think this is fair, and I think tariffs going down or tariffs manifesting themselves in the next couple of months could have an impact on the consumer. But the consumer weakening is more so a byproduct of them not having a job. And again, unless all the job data is fake, even if the consumer weakens to an extent, until they start losing their job, you're going to have retail sales that are relatively strong, even if they're not as phenomenal as they were in 2023 when we were recovering from the pandemic. And so I don't know if the consumer is the only reason right here. 67% of you say no, it is not a bull trap. Yeah, NASDAQ back over 20,000 as well. AMD 143, Hoodie 83.74. We're going to get money market updates today, but that's another thing I forgot to mention. 7 trillion in money market funds. So that's a big thing as well. How do you say that name? Safana? I've never seen that name before. Sophanha. Safana. Is that like Filipino? No, it's Cambodian. That's Cambodian. That's a cool name. Safana. I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, 7 trillion in money market funds. That money is going to come out to play. It is going to come out to, and again, when rates come down, it has to come out to play. It's not going to accept 3.5%, 3.7% in a money market fund, bro. Not when Meta's breaking 720. Like, there's just going to be too much risk appetite to stay on the sidelines. If it sounded smart when tariffs were happening or Liberation Day, but now that that's over, I just wonder how much of that money really thinks 3% or 4% or 4.2% is better than anything that these individual names can get you. Phil, thank you for the super chat. Currently, right now, it's 12:30 a.m. in Sydney. Just checking in to say hello. Market opens at 11:30 p.m. and closes at 6 a.m. Tough to trade and sleep. Phil, thank you for being here, brother. Hopefully you were enjoying vacation if you were out there for a vacation. That is crazy, bro. 11:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. That I couldn't imagine tracking the market. That means I would have to do the market open at 11:30 p.m. I would just be asleep the whole day, and I would wake up at night to do the market open. All right, I probably can never move to Australia at that point. I want to go to Australia, though. I really do. I really want to see the Aussies. But if I go there, that week is going to be hell to try to do the market open, market close. That's going to be aggressive. That would definitely be aggressive. Yes, tariffs are paused. I get it. But remember, Trump paused them with the idea that eventually those tariffs are going to come down. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by July 9th, the tariff deadline, if they issue another pause, or by July 4th, if the big, beautiful bill comes out, they issue all these deals that then allow them to have the sort of autonomy to say, hey, it's time for us to pause these smaller deals because we have all these big deals we can work on. I would be surprised if on July 9th, Trump actually says, hey, we're tariffing Zimbabwe by 45%. Like, I just don't believe that's going to happen. And I definitely don't think the market does either. So although the tariffs are quote unquote paused, I just don't think the market thinks it's going to meaningfully make a difference after that deadline. All right, folks, it is time. Although the damn store has sold out in 10 freaking minutes, we are going to bring on the man who has made it happen, who has made it possible. A lot of you guys know him if you are in the Palantir community, if you are just getting initiated into the Palantir community. This is honestly someone who has changed my life. He is the reason why I was able to meet Dr. Karp back at the AI Expo in DC last year in May. And he really made an attempt to make sure that Arnie and I, who were two of the people that he respected in the community, were ingratiated with the company and that the company got to institutionally kind of understand who we were. And as a result, a year later, company's sitting where it is. Palantir is having some of the greatest momentum that I think a public company has ever seen. And part of the reason why is because retail investors have loved and cared about this company when no one else did. And you had someone who was a retail investor who now works at Palantir that made sure that we could evangelize this company. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eliano.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm a little, actually, I'm a little stressed out if I'm being honest. It's been a crazy morning. Whenever you launch something like this, you can do all the testing and check all the bells and whistles. But for the most part, everything went really well. The velocity was unprecedented. I knew we would get a lot of interest in the store. I didn't realize we would get this much traffic.
Dude, did you think 10 minutes and it sold out?
So the shirts, so just a correction, the shirts sold out. I literally just finally took a shower. I was like bumming it all morning and like just on my computer and my phone. And so I just finally took a shower. I don't know if the hats have sold out, but the hats were still available. In black and the one I'm wearing in navy were still available as of like 20 minutes ago. But it's exciting. I mean, I've put a lot of work on it with the team, and you got the website up. It's been, I think for me, it's something I'm really proud of. I feel like the last store was really successful in terms of, getting merch out to the community and getting people the ability to rep Palantir. But it didn't feel like Palantir. It didn't have the vibe that I grew up, when I was a retail investor, when I was very fond of Palantir, it didn't really capture that. So we wanted to do something special. And I've had a great team around me and a great team that we're working with externally that have been able to do this. By the way, if you type in PTFB on the bottom left in that terminal, you see the terminal right there? Bottom left.
There's a terminal? What the hell?
Yep, type in PTFB and hit enter. So, dude, we had some like special globe shirts that we had like 15 that if people found PTFB, they were able to order it. So the chevron will glow in the dark. And then if you just hit PTFB again, it'll go back to regular.
Dude. Okay. So can we talk about the design of this? What was the inspiration behind this? You're calling it a drop. Are we going to get more drops and collections? And what is kind of the future of how this merch is going to come out?
Yeah, I mean, this is just the beginning. We had to we had a very successful store. I think arguably, I don't know what other stores do in terms of numbers. I think probably only Tesla sold more gear than we did last year. We launched the store in June, and then we took it offline in January. And look, the reason I did that was I felt like we had reached the apogee with our current vendor in terms of like the design of the website, the quality of the merch. I wanted to move everything to the USA. I wanted to basically, for people that love Palantir, when they come to the Palantir merch website, that they felt like they were shopping at a high-end brand. Yeah. We are not cheap software. If you're we signed a deal today that you reported on. I think, some guy put out the numbers, it's like 100 million over 5 years. I can't confirm or deny that, but what I will say is like, we're not a cheap software. We're not like some tacky widget. We're world-class luxury software that really helps change the world. And I wanted to basically have a website and products that were indicative of that. So that's really the inspiration behind it. So we started off with the 2 hats made in the USA, and the shirt, we did the soft launch 2 weeks ago. Those sold out in an hour. And then we did the launch today. We're just at the beginning. We have bucket hats coming. We'll have more hats coming. We'll have more t-shirts coming. We'll have some shorts coming. And then we'll have some tote bag, like very like high end. I don't want to call them tote bags, but they're kind of like city bags almost.
Yeah.
And people will be able to buy patches. We'll have a number of patches that people can buy. And then that's just basically the first iteration. And then we're going to continue to build on top of it. I really want to move into more specialty goods, getting away from just like, you know, the chevron on a shirt. Like we did that last year. I think moving forward, we want to get into more design and really capture some of the cool themes behind Palantir.
I think it's really cool. Obviously, a lot of us appreciate just having all this effort and work put into it. And just the website itself, you're right. It's not cheap software. So, you know, the merch shouldn't feel like it just comes from China or something. It really should have a lot of thought and effort put into it. And that's what you have right here. For the next upcoming drops, are you guys going to increase the supply, just given now you're seeing how much demand really is there?
I won't give out the exact numbers, but we had a lot of stuff. So, you know, I knew we were going to sell out. I didn't realize we were going to sell out this quickly of like the shirts. I think the hats will probably be sold out for sure today. We will definitely, as we scale the store up, we will increase the quantities. And you know, we have a lot of supporters in Japan, for example.
Yeah.
There's some glitch that I'm seeing that we're like, you know, people in Japan were not being able to place orders. And that really upsets me because Japan is one of my favorite countries that I've ever been to and I want to go back to. So if you're from Japan or Japanese living in Japan or whatever, I will make it up to you. I promise. So we'll do something special. So yeah.
Okay. So let's address this real quick because this is the thing. I think every time we do a merch launch, people have this idea or people say this, merch is tacky. It's weird. You're doing too much. Like it's a software company. Why are you doing this? Like, what is the response, I guess, to people that say wearing a hat for a stock they own is cringe?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I haven't really heard that too much. I think we heard that initially. Remember, like when I was on the show a year ago, we had a couple of folks that were pretty adamant that this was cringe or whatever.
And in fact, Eliano, there's someone I know. I don't know if you know about this, but there's someone that I do know that had 10,000 shares of Palantir. He bought it at $7. He ended up selling it at $25 because he felt the hat that you launched was so cringe that was the top. And he announced it publicly on Twitter in the Palantir community. I don't know if you know about that, but you know, maybe not the best decision.
You know, you have to live with your decision. So I don't know if I think they probably regret it. Look, I think I think if you step back, the way I look at Palantir, the way that you look at Palantir, and I think Palantir is the ultimate lifestyle brand, right? It's like you're wearing Palantir merch because sure, you might be an investor, but I think a lot of the people that have invested in Palantir along the way that continue to invest in Palantir, they invest in Palantir because there's a set of beliefs that they believe in and that we share as a company. And, you know, whether it's meritocracy, supporting the West, you know, supplying the warfighter with the best software capabilities, you know, when you wear the Palantir chevron, you feel like you're embodying those beliefs. And I think that that's really special. And so look, you know, Lululemon and Alo and all these companies, which I love, I work out in Lululemon and Alo. I love their great products. You know, they sell hats for $68, $70 and it's their logo. I basically went out and made a hat that I feel like is competitive with theirs in terms of quality and performance. And we put a Palantir logo on it and we've made it in the USA and we're probably selling it for like 20% less. So I think that if people are looking for really good quality gear and also want to represent Palantir and have it be something that they want to talk about, because we love talking about Palantir. I love talking about Palantir. You've made a living talking about Palantir. Like, why not rep Palantir? And so I think it's really special. It's, I think, again, Palantir is a lifestyle brand. And I think people sometimes forget that because the software, which is tremendous and should get all of the attention, you know, that is true. But, you know, there is a lot about Palantir, about Dr. Karp, about Sham, you know, his first breakfast and what he's doing and his commitment to supporting the warfighter. Palantir is a one-of-one company. And so we deserve a one-of-one merch store.
I agree. And it's deeper than the stock. Like the stock is whatever. It's the values that people identify with for the company, which is then manifested through them investing in the stock. That's what people actually care about embracing. Let's give away some gear. So how many things can we give away?
I can give. Damn it! I'll just say this: your comments have so.
This is the best chat on YouTube,
bro. Your comments used to be like all mom and pop, like we love Amit, and now you have so many losers in your comments. I literally just clicked it on right now, and I'm like, whoa! I was like, damn.
There are some that a bit like David says shit's lame.
Imagine, just time out. Imagine how big of a loser you have to be to get onto your show every morning just to talk shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying. It blows my mind. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, there's obviously there's a section of the community that it's all in good fun and they love and they have, and we joke with each other, etc. It's they say whatever stupid jokes that's fun. Then there's other people that genuinely are just like.
No, I'm talking about the people that are like.
Yeah, those are the people I'm talking about. I agree.
Spyware, whatever. Like I have never seen that before.
Yeah. Well, the bigger you get, people are going to say. I mean, I would imagine you feel this with Palantir. Like as the company, we saw this yesterday. Someone put out a tweet that kind of went viral saying it's time to short Palantir, overvalued, yada yada. It's like, the bigger it gets, the more haters are gonna happen as well.
I love it. Hey, Amit, you and I've talked about this. It's like when you get to a certain point, as you know, like I've been at the company now for 3.5 years. So you get to a certain point, and it's like, sure, like everyone's trying to, we all have skin in the game, and you want to be successful. You have career goals, financial goals, family goals, etc. But I tell you what, man, when you get all this hate and then you continue to succeed through it, there's nothing that really compares to it. It's like a different level of like, it's like just a different feeling. But anyways, as far as let's get back to the positivity, the giveaway. So I have two. I always do this thing where I come on your show and I forget to grab the item. It's literally right there in the closet, but I don't want to get up. But I have these 2 DigiCamo hats that we dropped, these 2 Army DigiCamo hats that we dropped last year as part of the Army Navy game promotion. They're never going to come back. I don't think they'll ever come back. I have 2 of those hats, and I will basically give them to the first person in the comments that I see on my end that answer it correctly. So
okay, so this is gonna be a Palantir OG question. Whoever puts in the answer, you want me to do it on, because I have the YouTube thing loaded up, so it'll be more accurate.
Yeah, I'll ask the question.
Okay, cool.
And then I'll ask the question, and you'll determine who wins. And remember, it's the first one that comes up on your end. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, cool.
All right, so get ready. 2 hats we're giving away. The question is just for content, is it a one-word answer, a sentence answer? What are you looking for here?
It's either an abbreviation or it could be in a word or anything.
All right, here we go.
All right. Sham Sankar was the first what at Palantir?
Okay, here we go. I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, I got it. Okay, so I know the answer. You know the answer. It's 3 letters, right?
Yeah, and it's not CTO.
It's not CTO. Dude, we're going to have to give it to John. Our good old John. JAWWN FDE.
Yep.
There you go.
Is that Jan?
It's Jan.
My man. Okay. Jan, see, the thing is, had I known Jan was in the chats, I would have, made it even more difficult. I mean, Jan is like the Palantir video encyclopedia.
There it is. FDE. That was the first one. There we go.
Okay. All right. So that's 1 hat to Jan. And okay. So for the other hat, let me see if I can make it a little trickier.
A lot of you guys said CTO though. It's not CTO. It was FDE.
Sham coming out of college at like 21 I don't think he was thrusted into the CTO role just yet. Okay, let me think about this. And Jan can't win it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jan can't win it again.
Jan only wins 1. Okay.
FDE is forward deployed engineer, for those that don't know.
Forward deployed engineer. I'm trying to think of a good one.
I'm trying to think of one too.
I have okay.
There's so many angles to this, bro. You can go.
This one's gonna be kind of hard. Actually, no, that's going to be way too hard. Okay, let me. Okay, what is the website for you to basically go get the free AIP build? What is the full URL where you can go basically use AIP and build online?
Okay. You can send it to me so I can confirm. This is for the techies.
Where do you go to build with AIP? What is the website for building with AIP?
This is actually pretty easy, guys. Like, I'm surprised no one's got it yet. It's actually really easy, bro. This is not hard. Literally, no one's in the full URL. No one has got it yet. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. I think we got to do a different one. YouTube doesn't allow them to put a link in the chat.
Oh.
Yeah, we got to do a different one. Yeah. A lot of people tried to say build.palantir.com, but they can't because of YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that's the YouTube thing. All right.
Okay. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
All right.
A lot of people type palantir.com.
All right. Okay.
Maybe. Okay. I think we should do one about carp.
I'm gonna do. I have a carp one.
You have a carp one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where did Dr. Karp get his PhD?
Where did Dr. Karp get his PhD? All right. This one is a hard one because he's went to a lot of colleges.
It's the name of the university, not the country.
Name of the university, not the country. All right, so I have it pulled up.
This is like, you can just Google it. Boom. There it is. I see it.
Hold on, let me see it on my side.
Jotney in America, I think, got it on my end, but I don't know what you saw on your end.
Okay, so the answer is Goethe University, Johann Wolfgang Goethe University. So anything close to that, let me see.
Goethe University, I thought I saw it. Someone wrote Goethe. Quan Tesla wrote Goethe.
Is it Quantes? Is she there?
Wait, I'm going up. No, there's a bunch of people that wrote Goethe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is a bunch. All right, so now I will see who's first.
Scroll up and see who's the first one. Yeah, there was like a whole bunch that came in.
Oh my God, there's okay. YouTube. This one's gonna take a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, James. Yeah, there's
so many comments now.
I think what I'm seeing is
a lot of people at Stanford. It wasn't Stanford. Okay, here it goes. Okay, so the answer, I'm at the very beginning. I'm looking for the first person to say Goethe. The winner is, I got James. 1053, I got James. Everyone before him said Harvard or Stanford.
That works. Okay, so basically you'll get their contact information and you'll send it to me. I think I can reach out to Jan directly, but
yeah, James. Let me know in Twitter, DM me, and you will get a hat.
All right.
Thank you, brother. This was awesome. Palantir merch drop 2 a couple weeks. When are we going to drop 2? Can you give
I'll have to check with the vendor, but we have to make sure everything is cleaned up from the payment processing and the shipping stuff, and like making sure the Japan situation is clear and all the other places that may have had any issues internationally. But once we get that sorted out, I will definitely share updates.
All right. I love it. Thank you, Eliano. We appreciate it. If you guys want to keep up with Mr. Eliano on X, there he is right there, putting his link in the chat. And I'm sure he'll have a busy day dealing with all these orders, but we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
See ya. All right, boom. That is done. Dude, it's wild. They sold out in 10 minutes, bro. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of freaking crazy. 10 minutes. Even I didn't know the PhD. I knew it was in Germany, but I didn't know which college, so I would have got that wrong. I'm probably saying it wrong too, but I knew what he got his PhD. I would have got neoclassical social theory correct, but I wouldn't have got the name of the university. All right, cool. So that's what we got for the merch. Where is the market? Has anything moved in the past 20 minutes? We are everything's pretty much flat. Pretty much the same as it was before. SoFi getting a little bit of love. Google a little bit of love. Tessie flat. Palantir 143, and then Nvidia 155 right here. Yeah, Micron flat was not on my bingo card as well. So that is a bit aggressive. And guys, he was not calling you guys losers that are just trolling in general. Like that's an all good fun. I think Eliano is not used to seeing some people have more nasty comments. You know, I would say 99% of you, when you're trolling and you have a fun comment, like, I don't care. It's fun, right? Like it is what it is. I have a very thick skin and I can make fun of myself. But there are a select 1% of you guys that just say really ugly things. And I block mainly for spam. So if someone's spamming, like you can say an ugly comment and you won't get blocked. If you spam the same ticker 10 times, you'll probably get blocked because I cannot deal with the spam. It's just, or a mod will spam. Like most of my mods don't even block people if they say Amit's a fucking idiot or whatever. Like they're not going to, but like if you say end phase, then you're getting blocked because it's just like you that much spam just ruins the chat. You can't have that. So I don't think Eliano's used to seeing some of the people who are a little, again, very small percentage, but it is what it is. You know, when you have a lot of people, there's going to be some people who jump in and just say nasty things. And it is what it is. At least you guys didn't go full on grinder on him today, dude. Yesterday. Yo, freaking what's his name? Josh took it like a champ. Josh was not offended by like that. It's a good quality in a guest, right? Josh was like, oh yeah, I see they're calling me gay with you. It's like, but he took it like a champ. He played into the joke. It was fun. That's what you got to do, right? You got to play into the jokes. But some people, it's just like, what? Why are they all calling me gay? You know, so it's different from guest to guest. I don't know if we could ever have a girl on the stream though, bro. Based on what I saw yesterday with Josh, like you think you're bringing on a pretty smart guy. The dude's a freaking scientist who knows about biotech, big on Robinhood, can analyze the macro. And for the first 20 minutes, every comment is like, hey, Amit, did you meet this guy on Grindr? It's like, what is going on, bro? How did we get here? Like, what was it? Because like I said I liked his accent or something. First 20 minutes, dude's trying to analyze the markets and he's looking over at the chat and everyone's like, hey, are you in love with Amit? I can't imagine what it would be like if we had a girl, bro. I can't imagine. It would be crazy, bro. I would have to like ban her from looking at the chat. I'd be like, hey, you just like this, you need to put a piece of paper over the left-hand side of your screen because you're not allowed to look at this chat. Still the best chat ever, but that'd be wild. To be fair, you never did answer the question. Well, no, I didn't meet him on Grindr. Met him on freaking X. Over hoodie. AMD 143 is HIMS running a little bit. Circle, wow, Circle 11%. It's been decent stock to trade, and then HIMS up about 5%. Up about 5%. Yeah, at the end of the day, we are still a big high school cafeteria. That's so fat. Like, it's a big high school cafeteria. That's what it is. That's basically what it is. You know? And you're going to get a lot of clicks. Dude, it is kind of crazy, right? Because if this was all a high school, like you would have tons of different clicks. You'd have like the Rocket Lab click, the Palantir click, the Robinhood click. But like in high school, you have like the cool girls and then the chess team, the debate team, yada, yada. But this is basically a big high school cafeteria that has its own little cliques. And everyone's just, speaking to their agenda as well. SoFi 1650. All right. SoFi really making at least a decent move above 16. I mean, it's going to be hard to close below 16 if we keep this up. And then I think 20 is on the way. Bro's thinking of the High School Musical scene right now. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. It is the worst guidance counselor ever. Dude, I'd be a great guidance counselor. I'd be great. Anytime the kids would come up to me and they'd be like, I'm stressed, I have anxiety, I'd be like, okay, but did you listen to Robinhood's earnings call? You know, like I was just like, did you see Palantir's nuclear update yesterday? I'm like, here's a easy way to cure your depression. Just get obsessed with the stock market. I mean, that would be my advice. I'd be like, hey, I know you're depressed, but like, you got to keep up with the earnings. That would be it. Buy stocks. Forget about your issues. I'm being facetious here, but in reality, there is some truth to this. Like, if you are going through something that is uniquely affecting your mental, and I've been through it, I'm sure people are going through it right now. You're going to go through it in the future. It is what it is. We're human beings, right? We have emotions. We have to deal with this stuff. One of the biggest distractions, in my opinion, is bettering your financial position. Even if you have like $1,000 to your name, just the idea of ownership and equity inside of something greater than yourself and the ability to see that grow. Because I think growth is one of the biggest cures to a lot of the issues when we have, when we talk about when people's mental, like when you're growing in life, you have a growth mindset, right? There's all these books about the idea. If you have equity that grows, if you're growing a business, growing a company, growing a brand, when you're in growth mode, it's hard to be that, I guess I would say, anxious or depressed or nervous or all this stuff, because you're so occupied with your time. You're just moving. And that brings on a whole different level of mental stress. But the point is, when you have something that you are purposefully attached to, it's harder to be as depressed. I mean, this is what they say about old people. There's been a lot of studies around old people that as you get older, you need a purpose, like when you're in your 70s and your 80s, because if not, you're going to be stuck all day doing nothing. And then you start thinking about life and thinking about death. And like, then you're just in your head all day. So some of the happiest old people that I know are the people that are like my grandpa, like he doesn't have anything to do during the day. So he goes outside and he waters our garden, because my mom's big into gardening. And every day he's like the happiest when he gets to go outside, walk around, water the garden, because he has a purpose. He has something to do other than watch TV. And I think that is one thing theoretically you could tell high schoolers, and maybe that could help them deal with some of the stress they're going through. But I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I never got depressed in high school. I had the debate team. And so Pedro says, I have clinical depression, and he's right. I mean, dude, it's a real thing. Like, obviously this doesn't work for everybody, but like one of the reasons I think in high school I never really got depressed is because like I was so obsessed with debate. Like at some point you didn't have time to get depressed. And number two, it's like you're so focused on the next tournament. Like you're not worried about your feelings and your mental stability. You're worried about like, hey, how do I win this debate round? And I had issues in high school. My parents didn't have the best relationship when I was in high school. It's obviously gotten better now, but it's like there would be months where they don't talk to each other, and like you think about that as a kid, right? And you're just like, why are mom and dad not happy right now? All this, but like, I got a debate tournament. I want to win the round. I don't really care about that anymore. I'm worried about my life, and I think that level of purpose definitely does matter. They did this study in Japan. Teachers and cops, when retired, have massive suicide rates. We all need purpose, like the jerk. Yeah, 100%. 100%. A purpose, I think, is one of the easiest cures to a lot of mental illnesses that we have. Rango says, sell puts, my purpose. It's true. Selling options can be a purpose as well. Elaine says, exactly, this keeps me young. Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I've never been to therapy. I don't think therapy is a bad thing at all, and I'm happy that it's been destigmatized. I've had family members that have been to therapy and they've talked about it. But from my understanding, the point of a therapist is to get you to come in tune with your feelings, understand, have a psychoanalytical explanation for why something is happening. But then the last part of therapy is like, how do you look towards the future and move on, right? And it's one of those things where when you go through something traumatic and that can lead you to feeling in a state of depression, the only thing you can look forward to is moving up, because hopefully it can't get any worse as how it is right now in your head. And that requires some type of purpose that you latch onto. It could be the smallest of things, but if you got something, it's easier to not be stuck in that state of mind. Yeah, looking at charts is therapy. Like, dude, I was just thinking about this yesterday. Every day we all wake up and we're just looking at stocks and prices and Google and Dell and Verizon and Archer, GameStop. And like, we're just yelling out these numbers, looking up or down 1%, 2%. Oh, Bloomberg said this, housing index. Oh, jobless claims, yada, yada. Like, it's all nonsense that keeps us occupied. That's really what it is. It's all nonsense that keeps us occupied. Now, the reason it's better nonsense than freaking sports and pop culture is because we can make some money off of it. And it can actually enhance our lives. Big Bear AI, by the way, up 16%. But it's all nonsense. Like all these numbers going back and forth. It's just nonsense that can make us rich, and it gives us a purpose. And it's fun as a community to engage in it. But the point is we have something to do. And that's what you need. You really need something to do. Without something to do, it just is a lot harder to get the mental right. Dude, I work at an investment firm looking at trades all day, and then I go home and read DD on stocks all night. Yeah, and look, some people would say that's an addiction, an obsession. Some people would say that's like unhealthy, but I think for you, that's passion. Keeps you busy. It really keeps you busy. Jojo says, I've got a few friends who are still depressed, even with purpose and 2 jobs. Yeah, I mean, look, the purpose is not the only solution. Obviously, it's got to be a meaningful purpose. It's got to be something that you actually really find value in. I'm very blessed to have found purpose in the stock market, you know? I think I'm one of those people that has always found purpose in something, whether it was music, even though I sucked at it, whether it was basketball, even though I wasn't tall enough. If I was 6'5", I would have been in the NBA. I probably would have been up there with like Michael Jordan, but genetics didn't work out. So like outside of that, but I found purpose in basketball. If I could sing, I'd probably be better than Michael Jackson, like music, but like that didn't work out from the talent perspective. So I had to lean into, you know, my talents, and that ended up being more with speaking. And then I found my purpose in debate. And then for some reason, somehow I just started enjoying following the stock market. And then it came to this. It's not big cap, bro. If I was freaking 6'5", I would have been in the NBA. Like it's not big cap. And if I could sing, I would be an international pop star right now. I'm telling you, I had the ambition for it. I had the passion. I had the work ethic. I just didn't have the talent. Like all this ambition and passion and work ethic that I have manifested itself into a talent for speaking, if you want to even call that a talent. And that resulted in the career I have today. If it was the opposite, AKA my genetics were my talent and not my speaking ability, I would be in the NBA, or I would be the next Michael Jackson. It's just that simple. But that's not how life turned out, you know? So that's why we're here. I was depressed after I sold Nvidia. Yo, that can depress you in the stock market. That'll do. You sell something early, that'll depress you, bro. That will freaking depress. Like that guy, by the way, that I mentioned, that guy who sold 10,000 shares of Palantir at $25. I don't know if he's depressed, but I could imagine he looks at this stock every day and feels a little depressed. The only reason I said that, by the way, about that guy is because I'm not going to say his name because I don't even want to give him the attention. I've talked about him before, but some people might not know him. He was one of the biggest bullies in the Palantir community. Like straight up a bully. And is this random account on Twitter, and this dude would just like, it's like it was Palantir or nothing. If you buy any other stock, he'd call you an idiot. And he was mad at Roy and me and Arnie. Arnie sold some shares at 11. He used to give Arnie hell for selling at 11. And Arnie, look, he bought it at 7, sold at 11. He took some profits. It is what it is. And he just constantly was toxic in the community. And then the hat came out, and Palantir was 25, and he sold all of his shares. And it was the funniest thing ever, because the guy who got mad at everyone for selling or maybe buying Robinhood or PayPal or whatever instead of going all in on Palantir, he would give you hell for that on Twitter. And then he's the one who ends up selling because he thinks the hat is so cringe, not recognizing the value of like embracing the evangelism that Palantir is trying to do for retail investors. Instead, he thinks it's cringe. He cursed out Eliano and Chad. June of 2020, literally cursed out Eliano and Chad on Twitter. I'm like, dude, these guys are engaging with us. We're retail. They don't need to be talking with us. How are you cursing them out? Called them bootlickers. Literally called them bootlickers. And then he sells all at 25. And to see the poetic mother effing justice of the guy who got mad at everyone for trimming or diversifying to sell everything at 25 and for this thing to 6x in front of him. And now he can't talk about it because what are you going to say? What are you going to say? The hat was not the top, buddy. No cap. The hat was not the top. You can't say shit. You can't say shit. And so some of you guys got it in the chat. I'm not going to say his name. I hope he's watching, though. He used to watch the stream, so I hope he's watching because that guy was such a toxic asshole to the Palantir community. And I've never publicly dropped a nuke the way I've wanted to on Twitter and just called him out on all this stuff because, you know, I don't want to. Eliano did, though. You can go through his old tweets. Eliano, when Eliano found out about who this guy was in June of 2024, he called me up. He's like, who is this motherfucker? I was like, dude, this is one of the most toxic people in the community. And then 2 weeks later, he dropped a nuke on this guy. And That was a good tweet. But he sold. Palantir 6x since then. And he sold. So, and the funny thing about this is Dr. Karp would have hated this guy because this is the type of bully that tries to just like make other people feel bad and insecure about themselves for no reason, for their own dopamine. It's a very narcissistic personality. And it's kind of like the people that comment hate comments. It's like their lives are so bad, they need to leave some hate, not constructive feedback, not, hey, you should think about it this way, but just pure on hate. And that's where I think Eliano has a point. It's like, how bad does your life have to be to do that? I've never left a hate comment, bro. I don't think I've ever left it. Maybe when I was like 12 years old on YouTube or something, but I've never left one of those comments that just like makes someone feel bad about themselves. And again, there's a difference between constructive feedback, which I'm very open to. And I like seeing constructive feedback on the streams and the quality of it. And just like my analysis on the daily recaps, all that stuff. But just like the pure hate is just like weird. It's like something has to be going on. And he had that pure hate. And he ended up selling. Because if he had held, the worst thing is he would have been the most arrogant guy ever because he has thousands of shares that have 10x for him, more than 10x. But he didn't. He sold. Sorry, you sold. Can't talk shit anymore. You can't talk shit anymore. Okay, why do you guys keep saying CYN? What is this thing, bro? Okay, why is CYN up 539%? What is going on? Why is this happening? Is this another biotech? Sijin? This has to be a biotech. No, autonomous driving software? What is this shit? Why is this? Is this why Tesla's down? Because this thing, dude, this thing was a $10 million. All right, guys, be careful. This was a $10 million market cap in the morning. It's a $56 million market cap. Nvidia collab? Really? Hold on. Why don't you guys say this earlier in the day? Nvidia CYN. Small partnering with Consensus Core strengthens. Hold on. Nvidia CYN partnership with Nvidia launched a dealer portal to accelerate more sales. This move will expand its network, making it easier for more industrial companies to adopt its self-driving tech and helping the company grow its market tech. Okay, so I made a few thousand and sold out. Dude, hold on. Some of you guys traded this today? Bro, what is going on? Look, I get the NVIDIA thing is a big deal, and I get autonomous driving is an important part of NVIDIA's business, and they have all this synthetic data and training in the Cosmos platform. But a 5x, 10 to 50 million because of NVIDIA? Did that increase their revenue by even 20%? Like, I mean, theoretically, this should be a private company. This should not be a public tradable stock. I mean, 10, 50 million is nothing. But it's halted. Yeah, it's halted right now. 3203, it's halted. Oh, yeah, I definitely missed it, bro. I completely missed this. You guys made two. Yo, who traded this? Somebody, another person made 2,000? Well, there's no options on this thing, right? 1.7 million share float. Goodness gracious. Yeah, now I get it. That's pretty easy to... Yeah, you can't do options on this. Definitely feels like a little 2021-ish, bro. Definitely feels like a little 2021-ish. Dude, I would love to day trade. I really would. I told you guys, I met a guy in Toronto. And this guy, you're not going to believe me, but he makes $30,000 a day trading. I didn't believe him either. I had lunch with him for the Toronto meetup. And then he showed me his setup, like his software and shit. He has like this custom, like the dude is just a monster, like literally $30,000 a day. And I'm not kidding. Like I saw his P&L, everything. I would love to do it. But the problem is, and he told me it's going to be really hard for me to ever even try to day trade. And I know I did not meet him through Grindr. Goodness. 80% of the trading activity that happens in the stock market happens from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you want to day trade, by the way, it's unhalted and it's going up higher. My goodness, this thing is not stopping. Got halted again at 34.17. Got halted for 2 seconds. 80% of the volume happens in the first 30 minutes. And so I'm covering the stock market in the first 30 minutes. I'm not trying to look for charts and patterns. And you kind of have to be literally glued into the screen to be able to day trade. Like what he does is he watches from 8:45 to 9:30. He pauses me at 9:30. He does his day trade, takes him about 10 minutes, makes 30,000. Then he comes back to the stream because he can't have any distractions when he's listening to when he's doing his type of day trade. I know some of you guys have me in the background and stuff, but he's like just locked in on a couple, because he only trades like 3 or 4 stocks. It's like 3 or 4 names that he knows really well. And so he's not looking for a new name. He's kind of just looking for like the pattern that he wants. Everyone has their own way of doing it. But the point is, I can't do that because I wouldn't be able to do the show at that point. It's just hard. Check Hims news. What do you mean check Hims news? What's going on with Hims? Do we have Novo news on Hims? Do we have Novo news? Nate, did you tweet about it? It is up 6%. Let me see. Novo is launching a new $299 Wegovy savings offer starting July 1st, running through July 31st for self-paying patients. After that, the monthly price moves to $499. CEO just posted about it. Okay, so that's the Novo news. What did Dudum say? What is this? Oh, Chief Product Officer. Oh, so the Novo stuff has nothing to do with this. Andrew Dunham says, when I met Deirdre, I was immediately struck by how clearly she sees the role technology plays at reshaping consumer behavior and how to build for it. At Robinhood, she led Robinhood Gold, a membership product that fundamentally changed how people access financial services. She's bringing that same product vision and customer obsession to Hims, and hers is her first Chief Product Officer ever. Wow. They took the VP of product from Hood, and she's going to Hims. Huh. Oh, she follows me. Deirdre. I don't think I've ever met this woman. I've never seen her. Incredibly excited to be joining Andrew and the Hims team as the CPO. The opportunity to build a truly consumer-first healthcare product is more exciting than ever. Let's do this. Wow. So they're bringing over Robinhood Gold leader, or one of the leaders of product at Robinhood, which led Robinhood Gold, to Hims to potentially build out a more tech product focus on their subscription offerings, I would imagine. Okay, kind of bullish. I mean, sad she's leaving Hood, but I guess Andrew's giving her a crap ton of stock to leave. And maybe she has enough Robinhood stock, and so she's moving on to the next thing. But, dude, I mean, look, I like it. Chief Product Officer, I like it. At the end of the day, like, the Hims bulls argue that this is a tech company, or this is a company that is using technology to move forward, which is why it should get a tech company multiple, because of their operating leverage. And so building out a tech first product, maybe that's, not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, she's definitely getting paid. She's definitely getting paid some good. Dude, to leave Robinhood at this stage of Robinhood's trajectory for Hims, I mean, that offer must have been pretty bloated, bro. You don't leave that easily. By the way, dude, yesterday on the earnings call, I think Vlad is just becoming so much more comfortable as a CEO, because he admitted that one of the new board directors bought stock in the company. He's like, you guys might have seen one of our new board directors just purchase shares. And I was like, wow, bro, you would think like years ago he would never be able to say something like that because of, whatever. It's just like inappropriate or whatever. But they did. Let's see if I can find the clip. Yeah, this right here. This is the clip.
Director, my co-founder, Beju Bhatt, Mickey Malka, Paula Loop, Susan Siegel, Dara Tressiter, Bob Zolik, and additionally, we're excited that we have 2 new independent directors. Chris Payne, who some of you may have noticed, recently bought some shares in Robinhood as well. So excited for Chris to join us. And John Hegemon.
That's just so cool, bro. Like, they're not like, it's not like taboo to say that anymore. I mean, they're just, and like the fact that they did a video call, I thought was so cool, because like usually these calls are just like audio and they're not fun and there's no excitement. They had 2 live shareholders come in to ask a question. I mean, phenomenal job by Robinhood on the annual shareholder meeting. And I think more companies will replicate that, but they are just absolutely firing on all cylinders and really embracing the next generation of how, and really innovating and pioneering how you communicate to investors. Google getting a little bit of a bid, 172 right here. Where is Meta? Meta 723, new high of day on Meta. And then Amazon, are we at 215? Amazon's at 216.50. S&P is $3 away, folks. Less than $3, almost 611 on the S&P. And then you are going to see all-time highs. And then you are going to see all-time highs. CYN, is that unhalted? CYN, $38. Guys, do we buy it? Do we drink our liquor with a little bit of chaser today? Do we buy it? What if this thing goes to 60, bro? Just what if this thing goes to 60? What if? Dude, it's up 600%, bro. So stupid. This doesn't make any sense, but this is the market that we're in. Dude, you guys are some degens. 50% of you say yes, 50% say no. I'm not buying it, bro. If I bought it, it would be like one share for fun. I'm not actually going to buy this thing, but like, this is just insane, bro. And I feel like this happened in the morning. Like the announcement happened in the pre-market and then boom, this thing just took off. This thing just took off. Now, granted, maybe there's something unique to this ticker, right? That caused Nvidia to partner with them. And that could theoretically mean the company deserves to be at these levels. But 5x in a day tends to not stay 5x in a day. Especially because guess what? These guys might say, hey, dilution. Why not? Just 5x their value. Let's issue some more shares. They got tons of shares. Like I could be buying their shares right now at 37. And in the background, they are getting ready to file a shelf offering. And that $37 share that I'm buying could be dumped on me as part of their new capital raise. I mean, that literally could be what's happening right now. So some of these things, they just take off. Yeah, it's only worth 65 million. So it's a question of how many traders want to keep playing musical chairs on these shares and how high this thing really can go. This has been public since 22? Goodness gracious, bro. These shares are worth $130,000 in 2022. So talk about reverse splits, bro. Look at this chart. This is insanity, bro. Wow, look, this is crazy, bro. It was $1,100 a year ago, and now it's 30 cents. So if you did buy this thing a while ago, you know, you're not breaking even yet, but still. They've been manipulating the price since 2022. Yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine. Charles, thanks for the $5 super chat. Public speaking is more scary to people than death. They'd rather be in a casket than to give the eulogy. That's a quote by Seinfeld, right? Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, it's a great quote. It's true. Public speaking is pretty scary to a lot. I mean, put in the chat if you're afraid of public speaking. Put in the chat if you're like genuinely afraid of public speaking. Because obviously I have experience with this because I've coached clients before. Hymns, by the way, 44, that have had a fear of public speaking. And so I've had a lot of experience working with adults and high schoolers on how to get them out of their fear of public speaking. I've tried to psychoanalyze myself many times and ask myself why I'm not afraid of it. Like, I don't know why. I have some theories on it, but I've never really been afraid of speaking in public. I've just kind of like always enjoyed being the person who gets to say something and then get a reaction out of people, whether it's, a funny reaction, a deep reaction. They learn something new. Like I just like, and I guess that's why I did good in debate is because I always wanted to impress the judge and I enjoyed the process of speaking. Wow. A lot of you guys, I feel like it's 80% of you saying you're afraid of it. It's a real thing. Most of the world is afraid of it. Like getting in front of people and having something to say. I don't know. I obviously if you're a content creator and you do YouTube, you kind of have to embrace it and enjoy the process of it. But there's something like philosophically that I like about the art of communication. I think Karp has the same, like Karp, he wants the attention. He's like, when he's on a panel, he's like, jittery back and forth, waiting for him to get to speak. And then when he gets to speak, he just crushes it and says a mic drop moment. Like there's some people that truly embrace that spotlight. And then there's other people that just like, they don't have the, like excitement to speak. Right? Because I think you do have to be excited to speak in public about your ideas, about your thoughts. Like comedians, they're excited to get people to laugh. Academics are excited to present their research and their theories. Like you gotta have some of that internal excitement to really want to get your ideas out into the world. I stutter. Once you learn to stop giving an F, it gets better. Has anyone read the book by Mark Manson, How to Not Give a F. What was it called? I read that book years ago. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Yeah, that book. That's a good book. It's a good book. It's one of the best self-help books that's out there. I read it in 2018. It's actually the last chapter is phenomenal. Like it's a really good book. Sinjin, by the way, 38 now. But that philosophy that he talks about in the book is also one of the ways that you stop worrying about, what people think of you when you speak in public. Amit's second language is Japanese. Okay, that's a good one. That's a really good one. It's a great book, though. It's a really good. It's like it made him very famous. That book. It went very viral. And there's a lot of self-help books, but that one I think was like, there was a good, like, it's for the average person. It is nuanced enough to not be basic, but it's also simple enough to not be some like super deep academic, literature on what it means to get over your fears and embrace the future. Vishwant Reddy, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate you, Vishwant. Thank you for being here. Mr. Cryptolopolis, thank you for becoming a channel member. Lolo Lupu, thank you for becoming a channel member. Magusto627, thank you for becoming a channel member. Deeply, deeply appreciate you guys being here. Netflix all-time highs, bro. 1,300 on Netflix. I got this stock so wrong. And I can't believe I did. Well, I can believe I did because at the time I thought my thesis made sense, but boy, was it wrong. 1,300. Market doesn't care, bro. They don't care what anyone thinks. They believe subscriptions will grow, Netflix will be profitable, and their content will continue to be the best content in streaming. That's it. It's a perfect example of sometimes you think too deep about it, bro. I was thinking way too deep about Netflix. Way too deep. You didn't have to think that hard, bro. Like you really didn't. Same thing with Palantir. I mean, I know we thought super deep about Palantir because we built this whole community. But if you entered in and you don't want to keep up with the updates every day, all you have to think about was, data. That's going to be really important. Okay, cool. Palantir, been working on data for 20 years. All right, let's take a bet. Very simple. Netflix, Stranger Things, that's a hit. Squid Games, that's a hit. Cool. Let's take a bet. Maybe they'll make more of them. Simple. Sometimes these arguments people have on stocks are very easy to understand, and you just have to not overthink it. But it's doing well. Hims right here up 7%. Yeah, Spotify. I overthought Spotify as well. Hims right here, 44.19. All right, so I guess that product manager, that chief product officer thing is getting Hims to be excited right here. And then you got Netflix and Spotify getting some love. BBAI, this one's also another chaser. Big Bear up 17% on the day. Again, it was down about 15% the other day after going up 20%. So it's kind of been in a range, but if you've been trading it, you have been doing very well. I think Bill Ackman definitely, look, Bill Ackman, I have so much respect for him, but I think he would have he's already cemented his legacy, but he would have really cemented his legacy if he held on to Netflix. If he held on to freaking Netflix when it went down 50% in the bottom of 2022, and he came out on top to 1,300. Bro, like that would have been like, because everyone has their trade, right? Everyone has their trade. Buffett had Coke. Even though I'm not a fund manager, I would say mine's is Palantir. Kathy had Tesla. Ackman, you can say Chipotle, but if he had Netflix at this stage of his career, like, dude. And this is how hard it is to find a trade. Bill Ackman has been managing money since I think like the late 90s. And realistically, what is he known for? Chipotle. And that happened in 2014. So basically 20 years later, after he started managing money, he got a name for himself based on one stock. He's always been a good fund manager. But in terms of, hey, when you think of Buffett, you think of this, that didn't happen for Ackman until 20 years later. And now he's not at the end of his career, but he's kind of transitioning into this holding company. If he had held on to Netflix, that would have been 27 years later after he started managing money professionally, the name that I think would have defined his career. Is buying it at 300, holding it when it falls to 150, and riding it up to freaking 1,300. And he got crushed on Herbalife, unfortunately, right? Like some names you're going to have that are absolutely stains on your batting record, right? It is what it is. I'm probably going to have a few of those in my lifetime as well. But Buffett has Kraft Heinz, right? Like everyone has those. But in terms of the names you're known for, the better they do, everyone forgets about the losers. They don't care, right? Like if you have your winners, then that's what outshines. And Ackman has some winners. I mean, Uber, like, yeah, he bought it at 60, it's at 90, but that's not going to be a generational defining name unless Uber goes to $1 trillion, which maybe it happens. I think that defining name for him could have been Netflix. Joseph Carlson, yeah, he let Joseph Carlson take that mantle from him. I mean, Carlson has Netflix as his defining name. Maybe Grab is going to be my Herbalife. Who knows? Maybe Grab's going to be that one stain on the record that's like, all right, that one just didn't work out. But time gets to tell when it comes to this stuff. And for Netflix, it's like time is told. This one was the name to not leave. And he sold it for Google. And Google's done well. He bought it at 90, but Google's not 10x'd. Netflix is freaking 10x'd, Google's right here struggling for 170. I don't think Grab's going to be my stain. I'll say that. I think this is so fucking obvious, and eventually the street will figure this shit out. But like, I think this is, look, my price target is 10. I've never promised a 10x on this. I'm saying 10. I think by 2027, maybe it takes till 2028, maybe it takes another year, but I think I will get 10. A stain so I think a stain as a fund manager or as a like public figure, a stain is when a company, two things, either collapses, so bubble, bankrupt, yada, 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 right? So like just completely collapses. Or B, it is dead money for so long, no one's going to give you the credit unless it has an explosive move after being dead money. So for example, let's say Grab is flat until the end of 2027. Let's say it's still $4.50. And then in 2028, it goes to $10. It doesn't become a stain because like, that's just the game of waiting. And you can't blame someone for having patience. Like you can't blame someone for, waiting for a name to pop. Like the question is eventually, does it pop? Now, if it takes 20 years to pop, okay, it's like, that's just, that's waiting too long. But if it takes a couple of years, like you have to be reasonable in the investment world and give them that time. But if you have a name that you buy at 200 and it collapses to like 30, that's a stain on your legacy because that's a name that just didn't work out. Ross Gerber, I think, it's the thing about Gerber that's interesting. He's made a lot of money on Tesla, but then he became so bearish on Tesla. And if Tesla goes to like, I don't know, 2,000 a share, Gerber doesn't have that much Tesla anymore. I think his clients have like 10,000 shares. He used to have like a couple 100,000. So I guess from an opportunity cost perspective, you could say that they missed out on Tesla. But then again, he bought it in 2018. So he technically got the 20x off Tesla, right? So I think a stain is really defined as a name that does nothing for a very long time, like Kraft Heinz. Kraft Heinz didn't go out of business, but it did nothing. And if anything, it went down. I think Buffett really got in at like 50 and now it's at like 35 or something. It's just never done anything, right? 25 now, right? It's one of those things that Buffett didn't get right. It is what it is. But obviously he's got a lot more right. Ackman's had way more winners than losers, but Herbalife is definitely a stain because even though I think he was right about it being an MLM, the market didn't agree. And ultimately the market is right. But then his winners are Chipotle to me. Not, and I don't know what, CPKC, I guess, Canadian Pacific, that's a winner. I'm sure there's some other names I'm forgetting about, but Chipotle is the real one everyone associates. Howard Marks did buy Grab. Yes, that's another reason I'm thinking that this is really freaking obvious. Next time we get the investor updates, I think probably in like a month and a half, the only one I care about is Howard Marks to see if he sold it or if he bought more. I cannot wait to find out if this guy saw them do the $1.5 billion convertible raise and was like, you know what? I'm doubling down. I am so curious to see. But we'll know that data in probably like a month and a half. HIMS right here. Are we running? Yeah, HIMS 7%. I guess that chief product officer news really got some momentum in HIMS. Maybe the market thinking of it more as a tech company right here. When do we find out what Buffett is secretly buying? Probably by the end of the year. We find out. He is buying a secret stock right now. He has permission from the SEC. It's probably another insurance company, to be honest. Palantir here, 144. But we'll find out towards the end of the year. So yeah, I think when it comes to your public persona, whether you're a fund manager or content creator, the names you closely associate with matter. And again, I say this every day. I am unbelievably blessed and lucky. And I had a great community around me that Hood and Palantir have both 10x in the past couple of years. And I got to be one of the names that was associated with them. Arnie is there as well, right? I mean, and that means a lot, right? Because in this game, it's all about longevity and credibility. And your credibility comes from your picks. It's just that simple. Like you have bad picks, you're less credible. You have good picks, you're more credible. And so although we analyze the macro every day and we talk about the markets, all that stuff, at the end of the day, I am judged by the outside world on what category defining picks can you come up with that the market doesn't. Like you can say you're bullish on Nvidia. I'm bullish on Nvidia, but it's like, I wasn't bullish on Nvidia when it was $10. I was started getting bullish when it was 120. So, or at least I started buying at that time. So you can't really take credit for that. You can only really claim credit for things like Grindr. You know, unfortunately, I just didn't buy enough of it for it to be a real thesis. So Grab's my third one. Grab's my third one. And I think I'm going to be freaking right about it. I really do, but it just might take some time. And the fun part about it is that, you know, you don't know. That's the fun part. You don't know. Like it's like a first date, bro. You just don't know, right? Like you don't know what it's going to be like. And then you're on a second date and a third date and you're like, oh, wow, this is going really well. And then something happens on the fifth date, AKA the stock falls by 20%. And you're like, damn, I don't know if this relationship's good. But then you're like, you know, we're going to keep dating. And so it's like, so I'm still dating Grab. And I mean, I'm pretty damn married. I mean, there's a hell of a divorce fee, let's just say, to the tune of 6 figures here. There's no freaking prenup. So I'm hoping it plays out. Yeah, the wife could be a serial killer. You never know. And it's like, but the point is, I will be judged on this. If it goes up in a positive way, I will be judged negatively if it goes down. And the burden of accepting that level of public accountability, I think, is what makes you special in this game. Is what differentiates you. Because if you don't, then it's like you're just another talking head that is not really taking an opinion on anything. You need to have some opinions. That you have to have an opinion in the stock market to be seen as someone who can, you know, potentially cut through the noise and find those names. Is Spotify all-time highs? Tesla right here, 327. Nvidia 155s. Where's Spotty? Wow, 765. Why is Spotify gapping up the way it is? Is this just like recession trade? Netflix and Spotify, people won't cancel the subscription. Is there news? I don't see any news. Oh no, they got upgraded. Wow, they got upgraded to 900? Bank of America gives Spotify 900? We are confident that Spot's 2Q 2025 results will reflect continued momentum across key KPIs that are at least in line with guidance on premium subscribers and MAUs. Notably, dollar weakening will be a drag to 2Q, but maintain our gross margin of 31%. We note that social charges and any FX headwinds in no way indicate any slowdown. We believe underlying fundamentals are in place with several positive drivers over the immediate term. 900, bro? Goodness gracious. Spotify is going to be doing a stock split pretty soon at that point. I mean, that's pretty incredible. That's pretty freaking incredible. That's like, I don't know, bro. That's, I mean, like Bank of America. Yeah, they say SoFi to 13, Spotify to 900. I got to go deeper into Spotify's numbers, dude. I haven't looked at it in a long time. But who owns Spotify? Put in the chat if you own Spotify. 9 freaking hundred, bro. That is pretty aggressive. Well, there you go. That's what you got. Yeah, shout out to Antonio. Antonio was bullish on Spotify. I was not bullish on Spotify back in 2022, dude. I didn't go short Spotify or anything, but I didn't think they have the operating leverage to deal with the record labels. Antonio, you guys might know him on Twitter. He was also big on Palantir. He's the hit. Oh, but if you're in HIMS, you have to know Antonio. Everyone in HIMS. See, this is what I mean. If I say Antonio, you think HIMS, boom. Or if I say Antonio and you think, or if I say Spotify, you think Antonio, boom. That is brand recognition of picking the name that goes against consensus and defines a name for yourself. Like Antonio didn't like Robinhood. Antonio wrote a pretty bearish thesis on Robinhood back when it was 10, 15 bucks. I remember on his Substack, because he just said, hey, I don't think like the brokerage business is going to be able to compete, and it's not going to be able to have those operating dollars. Obviously, he didn't get that right. I completely got Spotify wrong. I thought the record labels were going to drain them. And he was like, no, this is the Google of audio. This is a totally different business. You don't get it. And he was right. So I think from that perspective, you kind of just have to find which names ultimately define you. And again, like if I listened to his Robinhood thesis and got out of Robinhood, I would have never been on the Robinhood journey. If he listened to my Spotify thesis,
he would have never, been able to make a name for himself. So a lot of this stuff is crowding up the noise. That's why when everyone's saying grabs, shitco, yada, I'm like, okay, you can say that, but I'm not here to listen to your opinion. I have to have my own opinion. I care about other people's opinions and perspectives, but ultimately I have to make this decision. I'm either going to get it wrong or right based on my perspective. And Bill Ackman with Netflix in 2022, ultimately, there was probably a lot of pressure to be like, I can't take this level of risk. And so he changed. And sometimes it works, sometimes it does. It could have very well worked and Netflix might have not worked. But the point is like that's why this game is so freaking hard. And people will say, oh, Robinhood and Palantir are meme stock. I mean, like, dude, if you're going to qualify them as meme stocks, then go ahead. But I think it's more than enough execution from both Vlad and Karp to say these were not meme stocks. These were companies that were significantly underestimated for what they could achieve. And now the street's giving them a pretty strong premium. Now, are the valuations aggressive? Of course. But is Netflix's valuation aggressive? Yeah. Netflix's PE currently right now for a company that does streaming is 61. Like, I get that Palantir and Robinhood have a high PE as well, but you're telling me that that's not aggressive? Like, good companies, generational companies get aggressive premiums because it's so hard to find them. So qualifying them as meme stocks to me is just, it undercuts a lot of the work that was done to care about those names. And look, if Robinhood and Palantir collapse like 70, 80%, then sure, you get to claim it's a meme because that to me is the definition of a bubble if they collapse 50%. But if the entire market collapses the way it did during tariffs, I don't think that's the same, right? They have to independently collapse against the market. And then B, if they don't collapse 50%, if they go down 20, 30% like a normal correction, you can't just say, all right, well, they're meme stocks. It's like, no, dude, that's not how it works, right? Nvidia was down 40% this year. So I think the meme stock narrative around Hood and Palantir to me is just, it's not really taking into account how those companies have executed. Did I say currently right now again? Oh my goodness, bro. Oh my goodness. How many times a day? Someone needs to keep a counter on the next market open. How many times a day I do it? Hold on. CYN, red candle. Red candle. They were just up 700%. They're up 483. What happened? What happened? We got a red candle. We got a red candle. Hold on. Don't tell me these guys diluted. Don't tell me these guys diluted. Because if they did, if they did, bro, that means those shares that someone was buying at 37, those were diluted shares, baby, if they did. I don't see any dilution news, but it would be hilarious if they did, bro. Yeah, it's probably profit taking. That's fair. Battery exhausted. Another 3-hour stream. Another 3-hour stream. Here we go. We're back. Battery exhausted. Dude, every day this turned into like 3.5 hour streams. They didn't do an offering. I don't see it yet. I don't see an offering. If someone has the offering, put the details in the chat. I don't see it yet. If they did, that would be hilarious, bro. They are finishing their symmetrical graph. Yeah, I mean, that would be a symmetrical graph. Have a bet on Kalshi about how many times the MITS is currently right now. You know, Kalshi just raised that $2 billion. Kalshi just raised that. They raised $185 million at a $2 billion valuation. I wonder how big that company will become in the future. We know that they partner with a lot of brokerages, but they did raise at those levels. CYN 15 million direct offering. Really? Is that correct? Let me make sure. That's 15. Hold on. 15. That's basic. That's more than 10% of their market cap. Yeah, that's 30% of their market cap, bro. If they just diluted. I don't see the press release on that, but if that is correct, that is 30% of their market cap that they just diluted. Yeah, there you go. 15 million shares of common stock and pre-funded warrants at a price of 5 per share per stock. Okay, so that technically that's at a much cheaper price. That still is dilution, but it's a much cheaper price. Well, yeah, there you go. There's some dilution. There's some dilution. Now, granted, the stock is okay. So the stock's halted at $29.25. That dilution news just came out. That dilution was at $5, not at $29. However, still bad because you own less of the company. So when this opens, probably in a couple minutes, we're going to see if this collapses or if people buy the dip. But we will find out pretty soon when this opens. There's probably a lot of sell orders that are getting put into the queue right now for people to get out. That's more than what they were worth this morning. That's crazy, bro. That is insane. That is insane. Tesla executive and Musk confidant Omiyad Offshore departs company. Who is this guy? This guy is that. Yeah, that just broke just now. This guy is this guy. What does this guy do at Tesla? He does. I think he's just like one of their core executives. He's the VP of their North American and European business. Yeah, he's leaving. Is Tesla reacting to this? Tesla right here. Tesla's flat. He's known as the Musk Whisperer. He joined in 2017 as a project manager in the office of the CEO, OCO. A lot of companies have this, by the way. It's office of the CEO. Carp has that. There's just people that like stay with you all day and manage the CEO's priorities. And so this is like for like really big time CEOs. There's like 10 people that are just constantly with the CEO every single day. So he was in the office of the CEO. Why is he leaving? That's the question. And is it bearish if he's leaving or if he's just moving on? Elon's right-hand man. Yeah. I'm looking at an article right now that's basically saying this guy is a very important guy in Tesla in terms of just like who Elon talks to a lot. All right, I get we'll get some details soon, but Tesla right here, not really reacting yet. CYN still flat or paused. We will see what happens when that one opens. Another exec's leaving. Tesla HR executive Jenna Ferrua is set to depart company. Okay, so we're getting, if that's correct, yeah, she's the head of HR at Tesla. Oh man, she must have a hell of a job. I wonder what her emails were looking like when Elon said Trump was on the Epstein list. That had to be a fun day for her. Okay, so 2 Tesla execs, it looks like, are leaving. Maybe that's why Tesla has been down past couple days. The question is always why, right? It's not that leaving is bad. It's like, why are you leaving? And sometimes it's for personal reasons. It doesn't matter that much, but other times it's different stuff. Apple right here, 200. Alpha at 124. Tessie at 327. The evidence leans towards his departure being part of a volatile period for Tesla with other high-level exits. Not confirmed. Okay, so that's what Bloomberg's reporting right now. Zuckerberg is stealing them. Yeah, I mean, Zucks is definitely looking for AI talent. You know, but Tesla might be, I was talking about simple investments. Like you buy Netflix just because you believe, hey, they're going to keep streaming. You buy Spotify because you believe people still listen to music. Maybe for Tesla, 10 years from now, it's like, hey, they're just going to win when it comes to self-driving. It's just that simple. You don't have to overthink it. Although there's a lot to overthink because there's so much nuance to Tesla's thesis. But if it really is just a question of, hey, they're going to win self-driving, they're going to win robots, then that's it. All right, so that's what we have here right now. Joe, thanks for the $5 super chat. I will buy, grab, and name it admit. One day I will give the story to my kids and then tell them why I went grabbing. Oh my gosh, dude. Well, hopefully I'll be right on grab. I mean, I don't know. But again, that's the journey of this. You got to embrace the unknown. You have to. And if you fall down, you have to get back up. If you get it wrong, you have to get back. Like I think that's the other reason a lot of people are afraid of public speaking. Like they're afraid about if they say something, the consequences of what they have to deal with after they say something is very scary to a lot of people. And they don't know how to deal with other people reacting to their thoughts and opinions, right? So it becomes this like fear of what other people think. Like when I make a joke on the stream, I know it's funny, regardless of whether you guys think it's funny or not. So I'm not afraid of what you guys have to think because I know it's funny. So you guys can think whatever the hell you want, quite frankly. I mean, you can think it's called Byzantine, and I know it's Byzantine. So I just don't care what other people think. But if you're constantly going to be in the fear of, they said I'm not funny, they're not laughing, like then you're not, you have to know that they're laughing internally. You have to know that they're laughing internally, regardless. Amazon exec Vasi Philomen leaves web services unit. AWS oversaw generative AI efforts. Dude, is everyone going to Meta or something? Why is everyone leaving? Why is everyone leaving Amazon and Tessie? Feel like maybe they're getting some different job offers. Maybe. Dude, we need to get this compilation of currently right now. Someone has to do it. Someone has to do it. CYN, they didn't open yet. Dude, this has been halted for too long. This is either going to be a nasty open when they get unhalted and this thing's gapping down back to 20, or it's going up. This one's been halted for way too long. That means there's a lot of orders getting queued up right here. We're going to have to see how this plays out. We laugh with you, not at you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Most of you guys are probably laughing at me too, but still, that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. They all bought CYN and sold, now retired. Yeah. Isn't it crazy, bro? This is why whenever people, like, again, this is why, like, I just love the stock market more than real estate. Like, you don't get something like this in real estate. Now, obviously 500% in a day is not reasonable, but like the point is, like, Nvidia up 7% in a day. That, your house doesn't go up 7% in a day. Obviously, there's nuance, multifamily properties, the rent, the cash flow, the safety. I get it. I get all those arguments are very valid. But I do feel like if you're just starting out in life, you probably don't have the capital to get into real estate. You can have the time and slowly build up the capital to make money in the markets and pick stocks. You can't just do it through an ETF because then, you might as well just invest in a property. It'll take time for that to work. But if you pick an Nvidia, you pick a Palantir, you pick a Hood, like you pick these names, just based on pure obsession over research and news, even if you have a couple grand, like that money can really compound given they're tech companies. And so I've always just liked it a little bit more than real estate. Circle's up 10%. All right, Circle getting a little bit of a rebound from yesterday. Yeah, commercial real estate, incredibly illiquid. That is also true. Speaking of commercial, or not commercial real estate, but well, this kind of is commercial real estate. AGNC. This is a REIT that has a, if I'm not wrong, 15% monthly dividend. Steve likes this one. So Steve wrote an article about this a couple days ago, and Triple V is in this name. Triple V is getting like 300 grand a month from this in dividends. I don't fully understand the thesis. I haven't gone deep into it. But the fact that both of them like it, I mean, like Triple V texted me a couple days ago saying he's in this one. And then the same day Steve put out this article and I was like, did you see his article? He's like, no, I didn't see any article. So they both found this one together. I'm going to get Steve on the show probably on Friday to talk deeper into it, but it's a 15% yield paid monthly and it's an income focused based REIT. I don't know if Steve is thinking of this like SLG. SLG was an amazing call by him back in March of 23. It was at 19. Now it's at 60. One of New York City's largest commercial real estate companies. So I'm going to talk to Steve and on the show on Friday, and we'll see what he's thinking about AGNC. But for the divvy alone, I mean, if the stock itself doesn't, take a beating, which I think the reason Steve's interested in it is because he thinks it's undervalued, even if you only buy it for the income. If you get any level of capital appreciation and you get that 15% monthly, that's not too bad. Oh, wow. A bunch of you guys own this one. Joseph owns it. Jeffrey owns it. Yeah, this is what I'm going to look into. This is a good one. Or at least I think it's a good one because two people that I respect like it. So I want to go deeper and see if there's anything more. Steve probably doesn't own it. Whenever Steve puts out an article, just remember he probably doesn't own it. Like, and there are some, I'll ask him on Friday if he owns it, but he likes REITs, so maybe he does own this one. But granted, and I'm not being as fair to Steve because he also has a limited amount of capital, right? He can't just buy everything he's bullish on. So like he might like AGNC as an opportunity, but it might not be something where he wants to really buy it over Nvidia right now, right? It's also an income focused strategy, so it's mainly for investors that want that income versus capital appreciation. But he is bullish on it. 15% monthly is not fishy. I know it sounds fishy, but this is how a lot of REITs are. There's a lot of REITs that actually pay upwards of 10% monthly. It's part of their business model. So it's not really like, it's not like yield max or anything, which I think yield max is not fishy either. It's just synthetic covered calls, but it's not one of those things that's promising you high yield, but you don't know where the yield's coming from. It's the nature of how a lot of these REITs ultimately operate. Elon Musk fired him? Whoa. Okay, so Bloomberg reported that he left. Forbes is reporting Elon fired that right-hand guy who was the head of operations in North America and Europe. It's 15% monthly, not yearly. 15% monthly. It's not yearly, guys. It's monthly. It's paid out monthly. Oh, sorry. I'm saying it wrong. It's 15% annual, but it's paid monthly. Sorry, I've been saying it wrong. 15% annual, but paid monthly. So still 15% nice yield, but that is split up into months, not 15% every month. That would be a little fishy. 50% every month. Yeah, that would be a little bit aggressive. But dude, okay, so if he fired him, holy crap. But Forbes could be getting it wrong, though. Forbes could be getting it wrong. Bloomberg had a different headline here. They have $83 billion in debt. Yeah, well, that's why they're giving you 15%. You know, they need to incentivize people to buy it somehow if they have this much debt. So that's why I'm saying it's not fishy, but obviously it's not literally every month. But you get high yields on these REITs because they do have a lot of debt. And so they incentivize investors with getting you come in for the dividend. But if it's a good REIT, they can manage their debt, right? Like real estate is built on the idea of debt. Like, so debt is not unique to real estate, but you just have to trust that management knows how to manage it. Nvidia 155, AMD 143. All right, Tesla not really going down on this news that he fired him. The question is, why did he fire his right-hand man if he did fire him? The Bloomberg headline is he exited, not that he got fired. Forbes is going the firing route. So that is weird. That is pretty weird. AGNC is what we got. Any apartment search update? Yes, we're moving out in August. August 11th. It might be a little bit earlier than August 11th. But August 11th. Meta, where is Meta, bro? This thing's 723. Now it's at basically the same price. 711 was the lows on the day. 2% move. I feel like Meta's pumping because the street likes that Zucks is spending all this money for this talent. But it's also a little confusing why he's spending this much at this pace, outside of just wanting to hoard all the talent at this point. Is CYN still halted? CYN is, yeah, still halted. It's been a 15-minute halt at this point. Dude, this thing is going to get hit bad. This thing could definitely be ugly. This one could definitely be ugly. All right, let's look at the ETF updates because we didn't look at that yet. Let's see who's winning on that. Matt obviously still is first. Matt is up 12. Tanner's up 5. I'm up 2. Chris is up 1.5. Steve's up 1. So it's Matt, Tanner, Amit, Chris, Steve. Everyone's positive, though. Everyone's positive. So that is a good thing. We got Elizabeth Warren talking about why Mamdani won in New York. Let's take a look at what she has to say.
Heard about soul searching in the Democratic Party, a lot of hand wringing with what we've seen since the election. In the Democratic circles as well, the term lost in the wilderness comes to mind. I don't know whether we had a primary election for the mayor in New York yesterday, Senator, 2 days ago. Candidate Mamdani is a self-proclaimed socialist, advocated for defunding the police, globalizing the intifada. We have Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez leading the field for 2028. I'm just wondering whether, well,
I'm telling you guys, AOC is going to be the nominee. I didn't know she was leading the field, but I'm telling you, she is going to be the nominee in 2028.
But I want to make a different point here. I think you misunderstand what his campaign was all about. His campaign was saying, I want to invest in New York City. I want to invest in people being able to have good jobs here, to put their kids in school, and to build housing. And he built a grassroots campaign. He didn't have a billionaire who came in and funded him. He didn't say, I'm going to make this a great place for billionaires to live. He said, I'm going to try as hard as I can to make New York City a place that works better for your family. And you know what? New Yorkers heard him. They believed him. They were inspired by him. And I think that's exactly what we should be doing. We should be, as the Democratic Party, the party that makes it clear that we are here for working families. We want to reduce the cost of housing. We want childcare. We want our kids to be able to get a good education. The Republicans right now, with this tax bill that they're trying to push through, are really showing the contrast. They think they should be able to pay for tax giveaways to billionaires by taking away health care from 16 million Americans. They don't want to make investments in childcare. They don't want to make investments in housing. They want to take away clean energy credits, which will drive up the cost of utilities for families all across this country. There is nothing in this Republican proposal that's about centering families and trying to make this economy work for them instead of for a handful of billionaires. And I think that's a pretty good place for the Democratic Party to go.
Senator, just back to Mamdani, he has some pretty argumentative views that a lot of people have disagreed with. There is some old footage of him saying that if Benjamin Netanyahu were to arrive in New York City, he'd have him arrested. Do you agree with that?
Look, I can't speak for him. I can only...
That's true, by the way. He said if Benjamin Netanyahu or Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, came to New York City for like I don't know, just like a meeting or whatever, he would have them arrested. You can agree or disagree, but it's definitely something that is a bit more aggressive from the Democratic Party as a New York City mayor.
Speak for myself. Yeah, and what I'm saying is the key that we talk about and need to keep talking about is the economy for American families. And that, in my view, is exactly what this race was about.
What are your thoughts on Netanyahu? Because these are some of the feelings
Netanyahu has been here. Nobody arrested him. What happens, though, what is happening, though, is that families across this country are struggling. And the response of the Republicans right now in Congress, we will be voting today. The response of the Republicans is let's take health care away from 16 million Americans so they can do tax giveaways to billionaires.
They're telling it wasn't going to do, but Senator, we don't have a lot of time left. Do you think he's a socialist? He's a self-avowed socialist. Do you think socialism is the correct path to do what you just said you wanted to do for working Americans? Do you? I mean, that's what he is. Let's just talk about, and we're the center of the universe for capitalism in New York City. And Wall Street, whether you love it or hate it, I know it has a connotation in certain areas, but it's the financial engine for all the great things that happen in the U.S. in terms of the private sector and raising money for companies and the stock market. All these great things that provide all the jobs, that's where you get the tax money to spend on all these great things you want to spend it on. You think that's the right thing for New York City?
You don't have to push me. I believe in markets. I love markets. I think markets are fabulous when they're honest markets. As you know, because we've had these discussions before. For example, we need markets with rules. Markets without rules are just theft. And that's part of why we need strong antitrust enforcement. But what our new mayor, I hope will be mayor-elect in New York City, is talking about is how to make that economy work for families. Where is your outrage over a Republican Party that is saying we want to fund even more tax giveaways to billionaires? We want to make sure that Meta gets a check, if this bill passes, for $15 billion, not for anything they do in the future, but for investments they made 3 years ago. We want to give them a check for $15 billion. while we take away health care from everyone else, while we drive up utility costs for everyone else. That's not how we build a strong economy. You believe in markets, then you should believe in participation by the employees so that they get some of the wealth that they help create. And part of that means that through government, we create opportunities, not just for the billionaires to be able to come in and help build these buildings, but also to the workers who help build them as well. That's
Senator
what
Warren.
this whole fight is about.
All right. There you go. That's what you got from Warren. This is the clip, by the way, of Mamdani talking about Modi yesterday.
And this will go to you first. Come on, Lander of India.
I was supposed to get Netanyahu, and he was supposed to get Modi. Didn't you even get the memo?
You all get all of them. So Modi is holding a rally in Madison Square Garden. He wants to hold a joint press conference with you afterwards, reaffirming the strong bond between India and New York. Do you agree to the event?
No.
All right, Mr. Stringer? No. And Mr. Mamdani?
No, and I just want to say something here, which is that my father, his family comes from Gujarat in India, and his family is Muslim. I'm Muslim. And Narendra Modi helped to orchestrate what was a mass slaughter of Muslims in Gujarat to the extent that we don't even believe there are Gujarati Muslims anymore. And when I tell someone that I am, it's a shock to them that that is even the case. And this is someone who we should view in the same manner that we do Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a war criminal.
Whether you agree or disagree, by the way, CYN still not halted yet. That is the type of mayor that New York City is likely going to elect. So it is the reason I brought it up yesterday is because we are all investors. Politics, whether you like it or not, affects investing. If that is what New York City is going down the route of in terms of this is the type of mayor they want to elect, again, whether you agree or disagree with how it's being proposed, it begs the question, does the country go down that route for 2028? It really begs the question. I think all of us are going to have to kind of see ultimately how the country decides and what the political affiliations are going into the next couple of years. And definitely over the midterms, we'll have a better understanding of it as well. Elaine, thank you for the $500 super chat. I started playing the video as soon as I saw this super chat. So thank you, Elaine, for this $500. This is a very, very gracious gift. Thank you for the happy housewarming. I am very excited to move into the new house. We're going to make sure we fill up the house with a bunch of cool gadgets and art and different things. And is it weird if I get a picture of carp in the park? Like, is that weird, guys? Is like, do you think that is that really weird if I get like a blow up of carp and just, you know, it's like, that's not that weird, right? Like if someone walked in, they wouldn't be that weirded out by that, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe we do that. Maybe we spend the $500 to blow up a nice picture from carp. Dude, there's this picture of carp. Let me see if I can find it. Someone posted it yesterday. He has all these like interesting like faces and pictures over the past 20 years. Yeah, look at this, bro. Look how cool this picture is. It's a rock star ass picture. Look at that. This is dope, bro. I don't know. Maybe Elaine, maybe we're gonna use that $500 to decorate the house with some Palantir merch. So thank you so much, Elaine. Really appreciate it. Elaine, again, for those that don't know, she is a heavy Palantir shareholder. She bought heavy at $10, and she has done very well on this name. So thank you, Elaine, for being here, and thank you so much for the housewarming gift. I don't think it's that weird, bro. Some of you guys think it's weird. I don't think it's that weird. You know, it's like no one would say it's weird if you get a Michael Jordan poster, right? Because it's like, okay, Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time. Like no one would say that's weird. Why is it weird to get an Alex Carp post? Like, why does it have to be weird, bro? E-Bounce, thank you for the $20 for a lava lamp for your new place. Appreciate it. I definitely want to get a bunch of cool, like just like knickknacks in the apartment. So I'm excited to show you guys, bro. I'm excited to show you guys. I've shown a couple of other friends over the past few weeks, and every time their reaction is the same thing. As soon as you step in, it's a dope spot, dude. It's just a dope spot. It's one of those things I've dreamed of since I was younger. So it's a dope spot, and I think people will enjoy it. And we got to see what becomes the background for the market open, because I really do think we can do a different background than this, but also maybe the bricks end up being the the better route to do it. SoFi 1650 still up 2.5. Nvidia just holding 155. Tessie not really moving off that headline that Elon is firing people. Palantir 145, and then Robinhood 83.78. So there you go. There you go. It's weird if you want a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. I think whatever girl I end up with, she's gonna have to know about carp. I mean, like, she's gonna have to know about it. She's gonna have to accept me. She's gonna have to accept Carp and Vlad as well. Like, if you can't accept Carp and Vlad, you can't accept me. So they come with the package here. They come with the package. Are we doing Nike earnings? Yes, we're doing Nike earnings after the bell. That's the only earnings we have today. We'll get money market fund updates, but we will do Nike after the bell as well. Dude, CYN has been halted for 30 minutes. I think we're ready to end the stream, but I also want to see how this thing opens, bro. Like a 30-minute halt, this thing might go down to $5 the way it's acting. Like, you don't get halted for that long, bro. Not on a small cap. So this one's going to be interesting. This one is going to be an interesting one to see. You can't do any play. You can't buy anything. You can't short it. So we all just get to watch. In terms of the play on Nike, I mean, let's do a pump or dump on Nike. I kind of agree with Josh yesterday. It's basically at all-time lows. 52 is the low. Right now it's at 60. At some point, you would imagine, all right, it can't go lower. But I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's usually 5 or 10. Yeah, a halt is not 30 minutes, bro. It's like 5 to 10 minutes. So, oh, there it is. All right, we're done. 19. Wow. 29 to 19. 29 to 18. There you go. Boom. I mean, it is kind of ironic that at 37, I said you could be buying shares right now that are literally getting diluted. 20 minutes later, not even 20 minutes later, it was like 5 minutes later, they come out with 15 million shares of dilution, 30% of the market cap. And now the market cap that was at 50 million, if you were buying those shares at 37, you were buying diluted shares. Market cap is now 36 million, cut by 40%. Still up 3x on the day, though. But a lot of people were buying it in those high 30s, and those were diluted shares. Literally, those were shares that were being dumped on you. Wow. Now, granted, it's still holding 20, which is not that bad. It's still up 2.5x on the day. Question is if it just completely collapses. Yeah, they issued 15 million worth of shares at $5. So even if they didn't issue them at 37, the point is if you owned a share at 37, that share as a percentage of the pie has just been diluted by 30% because they diluted the market cap by 30%. So now you own 30% less of the company. And then boom. That usually tends to mean the stock price will head down. Well, there you go. That's the open. Still up almost 3x on the day. Maybe it finds a bid again, but from 37 to 19 in about 20 minutes. All right, cool. That's it. I think I am done for today. The battery is exhausted, which means it's probably time to go. 12:15. I think every day, bro, it's just going to be 3 hours and 30 minutes at this point. Like, it's happening every day. Word of the day. Okay, I think I've heard this word before. Garble.
Garble.
To distort or take misleading quotations from. Critics accuse the documentary of deliberately garbling the historical speech. The headline completely garbled what was actually said in the interview. We will see if Forbes or Bloomberg is garbling this news around Tesla executives leaving. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But garble is the word of the day. Hims is at 45. All right, not bad. Hims getting a little bit more love. Wow, 9%. I mean, dude, if this is all because that lady from Hood left for Hims, I mean, like, if it's that volatile where it can fall 30% because of a Novo partnership and then go up 10% because they got someone to leave a tech company to go and join them to be the chief product officer, it's just a volatile name, which is another reason I haven't sold, because it's volatile. It's going to be volatile. And you can't like bat an eye when it goes down 30%, even if it is, you know, a bad reason, because there could be a recovery for anything else that they put out if if the news is decent enough to the market. So there you go. HIMS right there. 45.20. MicroStrategy 387. App 11 341. Tessie 327. Nvidia 155. Palantir 145. Hoodie 8360. Google 172. SoFi 1650. Hood 8357. Palantir 145.40. S&P 610.9. Couple bucks away from all-time highs. Maybe we get there by the market close. But I'll be there and see if we can get that all-time high. All right, cool. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Done for the day. Or at least done for the open. We'll be back on the close. Elaine, again, thank you for the $500 super chat. Really appreciate it. Means a lot. I will definitely make sure some Palantir associated merchandise in the house is spent with this 500. I'm going to see what I can do. But we're going to definitely make it happen. So thank you, everybody, again, for being here. We'll be back on the market close. Nike earnings, money market inflows. That's pretty much it. And then tomorrow we end out the final day of Q2. Is it the final day? No. Monday's the final day. But basically the final week of Q2. And then we head into Q3. And then we head into Q3. So there you go. I ordered a Palantir shirt like a week ago. I got Eliano had a pre-order link for anyone who followed him on Twitter. So I didn't get it yet, but I'm sure it'll come probably in a couple weeks. But it is sold out. So whenever they restock it, everyone will get to order it. CYN halted again. Well, there you go. Of course. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. I'll be back in a few hours. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.